And welcome back, everybody, to the INDIKART Plus here at Hooton Park over in Cheshire. We are back for heat number 2. And look at the timing as well. The Bambinos are already setting off on their way to start. I was going to say start this afternoon, but to be honest, we started the afternoon with heat 1. So, yeah, we start the second, third of the sort of schedule, I should say. We have already had heat 1. Heat 2 is about to get underway. And then the finals, of course, a little bit later on, probably in about bang on an hour, I would say, actually, because the last round of heats took exactly an hour. There's no real reason why this one shouldn't either. The Bambinos are out there at the moment. They're just going around. They will be doing a standing start, and it will have the number 17, Toby Cannon, on pole position, just like he was for heat number 1. Second place will be Theo Jepson, the number 14. In third, 66, Elsie Gannon. And fourth, number 12, Calman Simon. Now, I did just have to double-check that I had Heat 2 grid there, because it is exactly the same as the Heat 1 grid. It's also the same as the Heat 1 finishing positions.
Yeah, hopefully Elsie won't spin off at the start of this one. And just to let you know, guys, we have had, I think as we mentioned before, we've had several issues with the internet connection. We seem to be experiencing it again now, so there could be a lot of buffering while you're trying to watch the racing. It's not ideal. It's going from excellent to poor, the connection, for some reason. It's outside our control. But what we will be doing is I'll be making sure that all of this, the edits, as you not as you see them live, but we'll do a little post-production job so that you can watch these all back without all the glitching with the live stream. But if there are glitches with the live stream, we may have to turn off and start again. At the moment it says poor, but hopefully it will get better. We're underway and running.
We are indeed, and there's Elsie Gannon who's taking the race lead again from that third position. Absolutely no idea what gets Elsie that brilliant start compared to the rest of the field, but she held it, well, they held it for half a lap earlier on in the day. It looks like potentially is going to be about the same amount of time, because here comes Toby Cannon around the outside. In fact, Elsie managed to hold on to it for less time this particular race, but luckily she's held on to the kart for a little bit longer than she did in the previous one. No spin at the double apex, luckily, on the opening lap, so she holds on to that second place ahead of Theo Jepson. Theo looks like trying to get that cut back and go at the inside now into turn number 1, and maybe to chase down Toby Cannon. A nice little move there. No, but actually Elsie defends that well. Nice and late on the brakes. Just runs over that curb, and oh, that's a shame. Calman Simon, the number 12, ended up going straight on. That's a bit of a shame. Now, it may look like wet tyres on the kart there, but actually it's they're both the same kind of tyres. They race in wet or dry.
It looks like some sort of mechanical issue, because he's gone straight on, hasn't hit the tyres, so it looks like it may just have pulled off. So unfortunate, but he'll hopefully be back for the final later.
That is the aim of the game, of course. Both of the heats really are to try and set up a good opportunity and to be in it to win it for the final, of course. Ooh, Elsie going very wide on the entrance into the final corner there, and that's what's allowing Theo Jepson to try and retake that second position, which he was so fond of in race number 1. And I think this time round, yep, he's managed to make the move stick. So we have had a change for second place. Elsie Gannon, sorry. Dropping down into third. Calman Simon does seem to be back going according to my timing screen, actually. So it looks like the number 12. Now, I don't know what the ailment was for that go-kart, but it seems to be back going. So that's always nice to see for the number 12. Theo Jepson holding on to that second then, with Elsie just trying to pile an enormous amount of pressure on. Look at that, Theo going really nice and wide. This is, of course, the Bambino category. They are ages 5 to 8, and even then, they don't necessarily have to be 5 years old if you're in the right school year, or if you can prove yourself to be safe and competitive out there on circuit. May even be able to get away with it if you're only 4 years old, which is a little bit touch and go. I mean, there's an argument to say that there's never too young to start, start them early and whatnot, but I think I'd be a little bit nervous if I was sending my child out there at 4 years old. Look how quick these go-karts are going. They are only about 3.5 horsepower, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, but when considering the age of the drivers that are out there, and the weight of the kart, and I tell you what, that's a great bit of kart control from Elsie Gannon. They're actually really disappointed with the fact that they've dropped off, but realistically, to hold on to a slide at that age is very, very impressive indeed. So Elsie Gannon, yeah, slightly disappointed, but very impressive at the same time.
That was a Peter Schmeichel moment right there. A great save by Elsie. She had a problem in the earlier heat, of course, which dropped her back. She spun off on lap 1. That dropped her. I think she finished third in that first race, if I remember rightly. But hasn't helped her cause, because this is looking like a decent battle here for second and third between Theo Jepson and Elsie. But it is the 17 kart we're looking at, Toby Cannon, who leads it and leads it comfortably once more. Just 4 drivers in this one, unfortunately. We're hoping for more as the season progresses, and we're hoping for better connections on the stream. Again, looks like we've got an excellent connection at the moment. It keeps going from excellent to poor, so there's nothing we can control. But just to let you know, guys, just to let you know, if we do lose a connection or it's very bitty or glitchy, I will re-edit it for you later and then make sure we post it up here on YouTube so that you can watch it back without all the glitches. So we're sort of a bit in the lap of the gods, in the lap of the internet gods anyway, with regards to connection. We should have an interesting, an excellent connection all the way through, but it seems to be going in and out, in and out. We're excellent at the moment, so hopefully you can see the pictures and follow the action.
Yeah, that's the aim of the game, of course, and we're very pleased to have you along. Thank you very much for watching along with us for the INDIKART Plus Championship here at Hooton Park. If you're wondering what earth the INDIKART Plus Championship is, well, I can tell you that it's basically INDIKART, but extra. That's what the plus is for. INDIKART tends to run the fact that if you don't have a race license, you can still come here and race, but you're not allowed to race against other drivers who do have a race license. And it's up to the discretion of the circuit owner, the championship clerk, I suppose, to prove that you are safe enough to race with the drivers that have got those licenses. And that does mean it sort of opens it up a little bit to more and more drivers. It's a nice and cheap championship as well, compared to a lot of other championships that are around and about, the club championship sort of thing. We're only £90 to register, £99 for entry, and even then, when we're not broadcasting live, that drops, I think, a little bit as well. So the dates for the INDIKART here at Hooton Park: 12th of February, 12th of March, 9th of April. All 3 of those are live streamed. Then we take a break from the live stream for May 14th and 11th of June until we're back on live at 9th of July. And then August we are not live streamed. September we are not live streamed. And then we're back on your screens for the 8th of October and the 12th of November. So the championship runs every single month between February and November, with 6 of them being live streamed, and of course highlights on the Sporty Stuff TV amongst other locations, for depending on where you are in the world. And that is, of course, including extra camera angles, extra commentary, and a whole host of added features as well that I'm sure Alan will be able to tell you more about as and when we need it. But the Bambinos with 7 laps done, 10 laps in total that they have for their heats, only a couple more to go. It's been a consistent run from Toby Cannon. Theo Jepson was asked quite a few questions to get past LT Gannon, but managed to do so, and it is as they were on the race number 1.
Calman Simon, who's very early on in his karting career. We mentioned earlier that a lot of these drivers have different levels of experience. So Calman, with not as much experience, anywhere near as much, obviously, as the man out front, or the others indeed, Theo Jepson and Elsie Gannon. There's 2 of them going side by side. I think that's Elsie and Calman side by side as Calman gets lapped this time round. The 14 kart we're looking at is Theo Jepson in second place, and he should be coming to the last lap as he comes round this time. Again, we've got problems with the internet connection, so apologies if it's a bit glitchy for you. But here we go. We're on the last lap with the race leader, Toby Cannon it is, and he's going to take a comfortable victory. And this is setting himself up nicely for the final coming up, which of course is where the points are scored. So you get 10 points if you get pole position, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Top 10 in any class will get points. And then in the race itself, 20, 18, 16, 14 and so on. So top 10 on the grid and top 10 in the result at the end of the final is the drivers that score the points, basically. Here's the checkered flag.
The checkered flag does drop for Toby Cannon. I don't think it's any prizes for guessing who's going to be on pole position for that heat final later on, I should say. Theo Jepson comes home in second place for the second time today. Elsie Gannon in third, again for the second time today. And Calman Simon rounds out the four-strong grid here at the Bambinos for the INDIKART Plus Championship. And now, the Micromax and the Hondas, they are slightly irregular, potentially is one word of saying it, because we're using a sort of split grid style system for them. We've added the Micromax and the Hondas together because there was a distinct lack of drivers, shall we say, for both of those championships respectively. So on pole position for heat number 2 for the Micromaxes will be number 19 Archie Smith, who had an absolutely brilliant race along with the 29 of Bray Williamson. In third place in the Micromaxes and rounding out their grid is the 21 Austin Garesti. Moving on to the Hondas, pole position is the number 13 Red Lind. Almost mixed it with the top 2 of the Micromaxes about about an hour ago. And second place will be 74 Tom Nichols and 68 Riley Blakemore, and that rounds out the 3-kart grid for the Hondas. So 6 karts you'll be seeing in this race in total. Split them in half, and if you need a reminder of how to tell them apart, well, the Micromaxes have, oh my days, that's a bit of a squeeze in, isn't it, through the S's. Micromaxes are yellow background with a black number, and the Hondas are the yellow background with a red number. So that is how they are distinguished, and it looks like it's going to be a very quick start. Yeah, there we go, and that's not surprising. They're having to be thrown round again because they went a little bit too quickly going into the line, and they were too spaced out. I think, oh my days, the Hondas are slightly questioning what's going on there. And in fact, it looks like the number 21 Austin Grester, who's supposed to be third in the Micromaxes, is currently rotating at the rear end of the field. And I'm not entirely sure if the grid is supposed to be split with the Micromaxes and the Hondas. I believe it should be. But the interesting thing is Red Lind actually finished in third overall, and it looks like is lining up third overall on the grid as well. I think they're just putting Micromax to be put forward.
No, I think they're just putting them all out in the one grid potentially.
Oh no, there we go. Yeah, Red Lind is now behind. He's now on the outside of the number 21 of Austin Grester, who's moved them way into third position. Doesn't look like they're going to be sent round again. So here we go. We are racing for the Micromax and the Honda 200 series. Archie Smith holds on to the pole position, but here comes Bray Williamson already. Looks like to be going up the inside of Red Lind. Has joined in on the action straight away. This is what we saw in the first race. Seems like Red was able to get up to speed a little bit quicker than some of the Micromaxes, as Bray Williamson again just makes Archie Smith go that slightly defensive. Are we going to see a rinse and repeat from heat number 1? We certainly hope not. We enjoyed seeing Bray Williamson going a little bit more aggressive in that sort of second third of the race, but in this last third didn't quite see enough gumption from them to try and really make the move stick into the final couple of laps. But we do know that there's pace in that number 29 kart, and we do know that Archie Smith is more than happy to defend. We're going up the inside. Here goes Bray Williamson, and it's nice and early, trying to get the move done. There's a little bit of a tap as Archie Smith goes for the switch back and through turn number 1 and through turn number 2. Bray Williamson makes the apex. Here comes Red Lind, all of a sudden, the Honda driver, trying to overtake on Archie Smith here. Archie just getting that defensive manoeuvre done, which means Bray Williamson has probably about 2 or 3 tenths gap. What an absolute brilliant move there by Bray.
Yeah, Micromaxes are quicker than Honda 200s, basically, but Red Lind showing his quality here. Obviously a driver will make up some of that deficiency, and we're seeing Red Lind here staying with the Micromaxes out front, and that is a great effort. It was a great effort first time round in the first heat, and another great effort here, but it is Bray Williamson that's got the lead this time from Archie Smith. So Archie had it pretty much all his own way last time. Bray wasn't able to get past, but he's got past now, and he's showing him a clean pair of heels at the moment. Don't forget, guys, as I said earlier, we've got problems with the internet connection, and we will stick with it as best we can, but you may find it's a bit glitchy. However, we will look at re-editing this later so that you don't get so much buffering. But unfortunately, we're in the lap of the internet gods, and they're not playing ball with us at the moment, so we've got a poor connection currently, but it keeps changing from poor to excellent, and not ideal, but stick with us. And as I say, after this event this week, I'll make sure that we redo all of these heats so that we can deliver them to you here on YouTube individually and glitch-free.
Yeah, so do keep it subscribed and turn those notifications on to TDI Media, of course, so you'll be able to get that information on when those edited highlights go live, of course. And if you need to follow any of the social medias for that to happen as well, just in case you need that extra reminder, then by all means, I'm sure the links are everywhere in the descriptions of where you're watching this from. And you can by all means search it on Facebook or Instagram and everything like that, TDI Media. And of course, Hooton Park as a track as well. We'll be privileged to be your host today, and hopefully you will join us yet again. What I will say is, since Bray Smith has gotten into this race lead, very, very quick indeed, quite consistent, but Archie Smith has set the fastest lap of the race last time round, and he's creeping it back. It's about a half a second gap, and that last lap, Archie Smith was about a tenth of a second quicker, 40.827, compared to Bray Williamson's 40.935. So that tenth of a second could make all the difference, considering they have got about 6, 7 or 8 laps to go as they come across the line. Archie Smith yet again, actually that time round, Archie Smith slightly slower, so Bray Williamson almost negating that advantage that Archie got over them in the previous lap. Here is Red Lind, leader of the Honda 200 grid. If you're wondering about what happened to the rest of the grids, Austin Gresty, who's 4th overall, that's 3rd in the Micro Maxes, and then Tom Nichols, 5th overall, but 2nd in the Honda 200s, and in 6th overall, but 3rd in the Honda 200s, is Riley Blakemore. So keep in mind that this is the only race of the day. Well, these heats is the only races of the day that actually have those split grids. Or merged grids, I should say, not split grids. That's the reason why I keep almost falling over my own words. It's merged grids, not split grids, of course. Split grids would be if we had too many drivers. Merged grids is if we don't have quite enough and we want to make it a little bit more efficient and spice things up. And as you've seen, the likes of Red Lind would pretty much be lapping on their own if it wasn't for the fact that they had this opportunity to overtake and challenge a couple of the other Micromax drivers. So it's been a really good match made in heaven. All the drivers are roughly of a similar pace. Micromaxes should be a touch quicker, but not massively quicker. The age difference in the drivers as well is not massive either. If you're racing in the Honda Cadet 200 category, you should be between the ages of 7 and 12. In the Micromaxes, you're between the ages of 8 and 12. So it just depends on basically whether you want to drive a 2-stroke Rotax engine or a 4-stroke Honda engine.
Got a good battle here heating up, Jack, for the lead. Bray Williamson looks like he's in trouble. He's got the Heat 1 winner, Archie Smith, starting to hound him now. Bray had a comfortable lead. Not so comfortable anymore. How many laps gone, Jack?
It is 7, well, just gone 8 laps, and actually Archie Smith has dropped away from Bray Williams by a tenth of a second. So the gap is maintained about that 5 to 6 tenth mark. For nearly the entire race, actually. So it does look like they're trying. Archie Smith is giving it a go, isn't he? But everything that he's throwing at Bray Williamson in terms of lap time, Bray has had something to say about it. They've had a response. At the moment, the fastest lap of the entire race has gone the way of Archie Smith still, but only by 9 thousandths of a second ahead of Bray Williamson. Bray's fastest lap was the one just gone, so 40.719 compared to Archie Smith's 40.710. Across the line then, pretty much nothing to choose between them. Archie Smith was quicker by 7 thousandths again. So these two are ridiculously well matched, Alan. 12
laps, I think, these heats, aren't they, Jack?
Yes,
for
they are.
This particular class. So what, 3 to go now?
3 to go, yeah. So if you're out there
two
wondering
and change.
Why the Bambinos maybe they had felt like they had slightly less. Well, they took the same amount of time, but they only have 10 laps compared to everybody else getting their 12 laps. And in the finals, add 2 onto that. So everybody gets 14 laps, apart from the Bambinos that get 12.
Yeah, just to let you know, guys, as well, I'm going to make a change to the settings. After all these heats are finished, there's going to be a slight delay. I say a delay. There's, again, another little bit of a break, 15 minutes or so, while we turn some more cameras on, get the cable cam sorted, get the drone sorted. And I'm going to make a change in the setting. Already made a change in the settings to try and improve the internet connection. It's sort of going back and forth between excellent and poor, so I'm not sure whether it will make a lot of difference, but it seems to be running okay at the moment as we come down to the last few laps of this one. Bray will be hoping to hold on. It looks like he's going to hold on as well, Jack, I think, as he come through the Wilson S's one more time and up through Stanlow, through the final turn at Stanlow. That's because on the left from this position, or on the right from this position, you just about make out the Stanlow oil refinery as we're into the last lap for the Micromax and Honda 200s.
Yeah, it hasn't quite been as breathtaking as their battle in the first race, as Ian, which basically got us off our seat for nearly the entire race. But it has been a battle of attrition, I would say, and Bray Williamson has certainly showed that they've got some class about them and some consistency as well, that ability to soak up the pressure and put the fastest laps in constantly. Really very impressive indeed. In fact, both drivers pretty much went a little bit quicker over the last couple of laps. In fact, they both set their fastest lap time on lap number 9 with a 40.584 and a 40.577. And as the checkered flag drops, it is Bray Williamson who takes this victory here at the INDIKART Plus Micro Max Challenge and here at Hooton Park. Red Lind takes the victory in the Honda 200 category as well, and third overall. And it looks like we're just waiting for the likes of Tom Nichols and Riley Blakemore to come across the line, 4th and 5th overall, which means Austin Gresty's had a bit of a problem somewhere. In fact, only completed 9 laps as Austin Gresty. So either somewhere out there on circuit we find a stricken number 21 kart, or they came into the pit lane, and I'm not entirely sure which one, because I can't quite see the entirety of the track. I think probably came into the pits, I imagine. Here are the two drivers going into the pits who won that race. So there we go. The Micromax and the Hondas done and dusted for heat number 2. We'll see them a little bit later in about an hour for the finals. On to the next grid then, and the next heat will be the Mini-Maxes. The Mini-Max Heat 2 between only competing 3 drivers, which is a bit of a shame, of course. But you know what? We have to deal with what we have to deal with. Wycherek will be on pole position with the number 33 kart. Alongside him will be the number 57 of Jackson Lane. In third place, 23, Zach Kane will be just behind them. So that is the Mini Max Heat 2 grid. Wycherek on pole, Jackson Lane on second, and in third, Zach Kane. And of course, as with all the Heat 2s, that is, the grid is also the same as the finishing order in heat number 1. And out they come, the Mini-Maxes. The Mini-Maxes are apparently between the age of 11 and 14 years old, so you can still be eligible to be in the Micromax and the Mini-Max, technically, based on age, but obviously slightly different engines. All of the Mini-Maxes, the Micromax, the Senior Max, the Junior Max, the Senior Max 1770, all a form of Rotax engine. It just depends on the restrictors, basically, how quick the engines are allowed to go. So
worth mentioning as well, back in the day, say back in my day, at turn of the century, when Mini-Max and Junior Max, there wasn't a Micromax in the UK until pretty much 2 years ago, when we started it at TDI Media for the Micromax UK Championship. But since then it's become quite a popular class. But back in the day, a lot of drivers would do Mini-Max and Junior Max at the same meetings, because there was a slight crossover in terms of the age. Don't see that so much now, but it used to be a thing.
Well, you used to see that with the likes of the Formula 1 drivers as well, didn't you? You used to see them going into touring cars and GT championships and everything like that. So,
well, Jim Clark used to go and race minis. There's another spinner. As we're looking at it on the formation lap. Yeah, Jim Clark, the best Formula 1 driver of all time. Don't debate me on that one. Jim Clark would go from Formula 1, he'd go up and race in minis at Knock Hill. So,
really?
Oh, he was absolutely top-class driver. I was beside myself when... I mean, it just shows you how things have changed. How did he die? Hit a tree on the edge of the circuit. How is that even possible? That wouldn't happen these days.
It wouldn't, but I tell you what will happen is good racing, hopefully, here in the Mini-Maxes, and they do get the race underway with Wycherek getting a good start as well, holding on to that race lead. Now, Jackson Lane, it was about there where Jackson Lane's attempt for a race win basically went by the wayside because he got a little bit squirrely on the exit of T2. This time round, no, he keeps it all together as Zach Kane gets too squirrely on the rear exit of turn number 3. But again, Jackson Lane doesn't look like he quite has the composure in the car, and again he throws too much speed in, taking a little bit too much of a narrow line, whereas Wojciech with that experience just gets that cosmic car around the circuit in a very nice, smooth, flowing fashion. No, it doesn't look like really struggling to get the car around. There's no sort of major manhandling of that machinery around any of the corners. It's just nice and smooth, and of course that is the fastest way around the circuit in pretty much any piece of machinery. Even if you're out there drifting or on rallying or anything like that, you still want to be smooth in whatever operation you're doing it in. And it looks like Jackson Lane, there's an argument to say, potentially just trying a little bit too hard. Wojciech making it look a little bit easy. Now, it was about this time in heats number 1 that Alan was talking about the difference in sort of experience levels and everything like that. And IndyKart, you do get a real variety of experience levels, especially in IndyKart Plus, because of course we are out here trying to do the live streams. That attracts a few more drivers. They're doing the highlights packages. That attracts a few more drivers as well, which has hopefully encouraged a few drivers to come down. But of course, the major difference in IndyKart Plus is the fact that the different licenses that drivers are allowed to have. So you can turn up here today and not have any kind of license whatsoever, and just prove that you're quick enough and safe enough to the championship coordinator.
Yep.
And you can go up against the licensed drivers,
Bob
whereas
Wilson,
normally that would be separate.
But worth mentioning, what Bob Wilson is running, basically, it's a bit like Motorsport UK. You have to, spend, what is it, a couple £100 basically on getting a license. Bob's doing something similar here. He does a similar sort of thing. He's a licensed ARCS examiner, one of the busiest in the country, giving out Motorsport UK licenses. But he's basically created his own little thing. I think it's £20. You can come along, basically satisfy Bob that you understand the flags, and he puts you through a bit of a course, bit of a test. And providing you can do that, I think the plan is to start giving out sort of plastic licenses to the unlicensed Motorsport UK drivers, just to show that you've been through a bit of an examination, you understand the flags and so on and so forth. So that's what they're doing here at Hooton Park. But the INDIKART Plus sort of thing is, in the past you've not been able to race with, if it was a Motorsport UK event, you could only race that with a Motorsport UK licence. But in the IndyKart, which was a lot more popular, if you had a licence, you couldn't race. So this is sort of bringing everybody together, and of course live streaming it as best we can under the circumstances. Looks like we've seemed to have got on top of the internet connection, so hopefully everything's running okay for you guys. But yeah, live streaming, and then obviously the TV show in a couple of weeks will be the highlights, and it's likely in that show it's going to be probably an hour show, where we're going to feature, I would think mainly it's going to be junior, senior road tax, senior heavies, and we may include in that show, it'll be a summary of races like this where there's 3 drivers in it. Obviously it's not sort of, the idea was that you get 16 drivers. We'll feature that on TV. You will still get, these drivers will still get a mention. We'll just do a summary of the results from the classes with fewer number of drivers in. But that means it opens up more time potentially to show in those TV programs, not just the final. We may be showing the heats as well. So, and initially that's what I was thinking of doing, just editing the heats and the finals and then deciding what went on TV. But because everyone loves live streaming so much, we decided to do the live stream on the day and then the televised highlights of the finals, which will be in 2 weeks' time, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't think a fight for the race lead is going. We're not going to have to wait 2 weeks for that, because all of a sudden Jackson Lane has picked up some pace, and almost seemingly out of nowhere, he's 0.4 of a quicker per lap than Wojciech, and it's going for the race lead now is Jackson Lane at the inside of turn number 3, and there's a little bit of argy-bargy, a bit of hip and shoulder, as Andy McEwen would say, but it looks like he's just about managed to hold on to it. Jackson Lane, it looks like he's hit the nitro button, absolutely flying out here now, and I'm not entirely sure whether Wojciech has
got a problem.
Got a bit of a problem. He's really slowed up.
I think he's got a problem with his kart, Jack. He's got to, surely, because Jackson Lane has come from a mile behind to catch him. However, having said that, Whiterek now, he's found some pace from somewhere. He's sticking with him. It's not like Jackson's gone past and cleared off. But this now makes this very interesting, as we said before. Doesn't matter if you can have 20 in a race if they're all a second apart. Not much excitement. But when there's 3 in it and 2 of them are battling for the win like we've got here, then it can be very exciting. And Jackson Lane has turned this around, surprisingly. Didn't look like he would early on. Looked like Whiterek had it all covered off, but not now.
Yeah, it's interesting, really, because I would argue the same sort of theory, that Whiterek looked like he had a problem potentially, but actually this entire race he hasn't been particularly quick. He hasn't delved into the 38, and yet all of a sudden Jackson Lane, for those 2 or 3 laps, found 0.4 of a second. He was at 38.6, and he did that for 2 or 3 laps in a row. So no wonder he got into potentially a race-leading position. Since he's got there, like Callan said, he doesn't seem to be able to maintain that pace somewhat. But there is the age-old saying, that cliche in motorsport: it's easier to chase than be chased. And when you're in the race lead, when you're in second place, sorry, you don't feel like you got anything to lose by chucking a little bit more speed through the corners, trying a bit more, manhandling the cart a little bit harder. But all of a sudden, when you're in the race lead and you feel like you're on the ragged edge, you don't want to chuck it away. Everything starts to become a little bit more real. There is a race win in it for you if you keep it together. And
now here, this is another part of racecraft, how you deal with the traffic. You've got the lap driver about to be lapped, Zach Kane. Zach obviously nowhere near as experienced as the 2 drivers coming up behind him, but Zach Kane could decide the result here. How many laps gone now, Jack?
Yeah, 10 laps gone, so
couple to go.
There'll be
last lap
now.
In fact.
Yeah, last lap
as they go through. Yeah, there you go.
They're going to have to overtake that back marker, aren't they? And they're probably going to have to do it roundabout into the 3rd corner. Now, which way is the number 23, Zach Kane? He's already signalling. Good driving there, good understanding. I don't know whether he's got an MS UK license or whether he's gone through that little licensing exam that Hooton Park put on here. But either way, he's shown that he's understood exactly what he needs to do as that back marker, and the blue flags wave. Jackson Lane not having to worry at all about overtaking the back marker and ruining his run. Going through the S's now. Is it going to be a good win for Jackson Lane, who just managed to turn on the NOS in those middle 2 laps and all of a sudden sees the checkered flag drop his way? Whiterek has to settle for 2nd place after dominating Heat 1 and taking the victory earlier in the day. He's going to sit in 2nd place, and all of a sudden I can't actually decide. I think mathematically they're both drawing for pole position. We'll have to wait and see who's going to actually pull that one out.
I think it's the driver. I think, I might be wrong, but it might be the driver that had the fastest lap in the 2 heats. I'm not sure. But it does make it what looked like it was going to be a foregone conclusion earlier on. Suddenly, we've got a battle on for the final coming up, haven't we, between Jackson Lane and Whiterek, no doubt about it. So it's going to be very, very interesting. That final coming up in about an hour or so time.
I wonder if he'll have a GoPro on board or something like that, so we can analyse the laps where he was absolutely rapid and see what on earth he did differently. Because by all accounts, he didn't exactly miss a corner. So we'll wait and see which kind of Jackson Lane turns up in the final, because that could determine the final finishing order. Right. That is the mini-maxes done and dusted, and we have got the big one. We've got the biggest grid of the day coming up for you now. It is the Junior Rotax Max Heat number 2. On pole position will be the 54, James Ollier. On 2nd place will be the 25, Morgan Hudson. 3rd will be 7, Zane Stout. 4th will be number 34, Jacob Jukes. Really in the thick of action in heat number 1 was Jacob Jukes. Row 3, number 4, Adam Catling, and number 10, James Koichelek. Row 4, 12, Ben Horner, and 41, Daniel Whitfield. Row 5, 59, Charlie Gillum, and 38, Lewis Summer. Row 6, Bartek Filipake, and number 51, Archie Doherty. Row 7, 78, George Daniels, and 21, Molly Pugh. Row 8, 52, James Kell, and 22, Benjamin Gordon. Row 9, and the final row is the 17th place man, 26, Oliver Lomax, and 18th place, number 14, Harry Hurst Grover.
Yeah, we're going round again for another, so 2 rolling laps to give them the chance to get some heat into the tyres. Let's just have another look at the. We've got a replay of what we just looked at. I think we have. This is another driver spinning off. Your pet peeve. There you go.
I shake my head.
And off he goes, Jack.
Yeah, I shake my head. SMH in the chat, please. It's. Yes, well, I won't say too much about it, Alan, because Lord knows everybody's going to get sick of it by the 6th live stream that we've done together. But yeah, so one of those things where just get out there and get round the first couple of laps, shall we? And there you can get the heat in the tyres. Right. As I said, the juniors, pretty much anywhere we looked, anywhere we put the cameras, it was exciting last time round. I wouldn't be surprised if they make them go again, to be honest, because they are still very spaced out in amongst the back end of the pack. But it looks like James Ollier is going to try and do a good job at backing them all up, and it looks like they're going to get a good job here. The green lights are going to go out now, and we are racing here at Hooton Park for the Junior Rotax Maxes, and everybody piling into turn 1. The front end of the field managed to get through, but how are they going to deal with turn number 2? People on the inside, people on the outside. And I tell you what a clean start. Well done for the Junior Rotax Maxes. I feared the worst as they were cannoning into that one 3 or 4 wide almost. But out of turn 3, it looks like they held it all together with James Ollier on the leading cart. Morgan Hudson in second place. I think is still in second, but with a big back end snap there as they go across the rumble strip on the outside. In fact, no, that's Zane Stout, isn't it? Zane Stout in the Tony kart. The number 7 actually in second place. My apologies. That must have been a switch into turn 1 while I was waiting for everybody to crash. And Jacob Jukes in the background with a really late move on James Koichelek potentially, who overtook him in turn 1 just a lap ago, and all of a sudden they're reigniting that battle from the first race, and they're 3 wide into turn 3 as well. And it was that number 12 going up the inside, Ben Horner. It was going to lose out potentially on one of those places that they tried to gain on James Koichelek, with a really good sort of aggressive start by Daniel Whitfield, and everybody are basically on this Junior Rotax, Alan. Great stuff.
Absolutely. So Ollier, Stout, Hudson, the top 3 as he went through the line. Adam Capling, I've been expecting big things from him this weekend coming here. He's 4th place. Jacob Jukes up to 5th. Then Koichelek, Horner, Whitfield, Sumner, who will have a 360 camera on for the final, and Bartek Filipiak. So they are the top 10 currently. That's the way it is. You've got Charlie Gillam there in 11th place. Harry Hurst Grover in the mix. Battling Bound in the midfield in 12th. Then we've got Doherty, Molly Pugh. George Daniels has got a 360 camera on for the final as well. Benjamin Gordon, James Kell and Oliver Lomax rounding out the field. So there's the top 20. Looks like we have recovered the internet connection, so hopefully you guys are not experiencing any glitchy issues at the moment. But as I say, for those earlier races where we were experiencing problems, I will be re-editing those for you. I'll try and get those on in the next few days, because I don't want that to upset anybody, especially in the races where we had big grids. I think it started when the juniors came out last time, and it's carried on, although at the moment it says excellent connection, so hopefully it will stay that way.
It's a bit of a shame really, wasn't it, because the juniors is the start of the big grids really, isn't it, because after this we've got the seniors, they've got 20 drivers, and the senior 177s where we have 7, so not as big but still slightly larger than some of the other races. But I'm sure the internet connection is not trying to discriminate against the other drivers, and we'll try and get that content up for you to digest at another time, of course. But we've got a lot of content to be digesting now and a lot of racing to be doing as well. The number 12, Ben Horner, is really hunting down the number 10 of James Koichelek, who did qualify in second position, keep in mind, James Koichelek. So really, he's only gone backwards in the course of the first 2 races. Not ideal for them, but it does seem to be maybe stabilising just a bit in that sort of fight for the top 5. James Ollier, though, really pulling away. So the same Stout has just set the fastest lap of the race, but only 6,000ths of a second, actually, quicker than James Ollier's fastest lap. Is the number 10 of Koichelek, running a little bit wide, and is that an opportunity and an open door potentially for Ben Horner? No, he decides better of it. It's when you're in the middle of a 3-way battle, it's always the most difficult place to be. In a 3-way battle, you really want to be at the front or at the back of it. If you're in the middle, you're basically, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you go for the move forward and it doesn't go well, you slow both of the front 2 out of the 3 down, and the 3rd place man just drives around the outside of you and gets a really nice run. And yeah, you're just absolutely stagnant in the middle of that. But you have to do something to try and shake it up a little bit. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
cracking battle, 5th to 8th. That Dukes, Kochulik, Horner, Whitfield battle. Good battle all the way through the field. There's another 3 going through the field towards the back of the grid. This is the back markers we're looking at. 21 kart is Molly Pugh, Daniels, Gordon. I think it is. That is the battle, Pugh, Daniels and Gordon. So wherever you are in the field, there's always someone to play with, and that's the thing about karting. You have to enjoy yourself wherever you are in the field, and these battles are important because you want to come out on top of them. This is where you learn your racecraft, because it might be for, 14th, 15th, 16th this month, but in 6 months, 9 months, this could be the battle for the lead. I say that constantly, but it is absolutely true. It's these midfield battles where you learn your trade, learn your craft in karting, learn how to overtake, start setting fastest laps, that's the first part of it, then work on your racecraft, overtaking. And then once you can put those 2 things together, you'll be a race winner, and a race winner on a regular basis.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well, of course, Ian, that there's a lot of... there's another move again, learning that race car. There's a big age difference between a lot of these drivers. In junior road tax, you can be... It's the year of your 12th birthday, so you could be 11 out there running alongside 16-year-olds. So we all know, if anybody out there is... Well, everybody's been a teenager, probably, who's watching, or has raised a teenager. You know that they're a different person between the ages of 11 and 12 in both sort of hormonal and maturity-wise, and that's the same in motorsport. You know, you sort of mature in the same way. You can be very different drivers between the ages of 16 than when you went into this at the age of 11. So it is all about experience, but it is all about maturity as well, and trying to negate any small mistakes. And really, motorsport, I think, is a fantastic learning curve for drivers to really focus and hone their skills, and it's a lot of life lessons that you learn in here, because you can do everything right and you can still be pushed wide, just like we saw a couple of the drivers then. I think that was the fight for 3rd position, which currently has Morgan Hudson leading the way in the 25, with Adam Catling in 4th. Right, we have 2 laps to go. It's about that time that we stopped preaching about life lessons and teenagers and hormones. We start looking at the actual racing in front of us. James Ollier away with the lead by about 2.5 seconds. Zane Stout in 2nd place. Morgan Hudson, as I said, in 3rd, with a bit of a gap now between himself and Adam Catling. Jacob Dukes and Daniel Whitfield all falling over each other to try and get that 4th position. And then, of course, we've seen quite a few battles further down the order, but we'll be focusing on the number 54, James Ollier, because he's about to get the last lap board. And it's about that time where he starts to probably get a little bit sweatier in that race suit. He wants that race win yet again. Is he going to get it? That's the question. He only has a couple of more corners to go, so we'll have a look at him. He's doing absolutely brilliantly, trying to carve through the rest of the field.
Adam Gatling has ended up going from 4th to 8th as he went through the line that time. So that battle from 4th to 8th, Whitfield, Kochulik, Dukes, Horner and Catling is the way it stands now. But what a great battle that's been all the way through. But this looks like it's an Ollier day for James Ollier. Starter with the last lap board out. There's the flag. And James Ollier is that takes the win from Zane Stout in 2nd, Morgan Hudson 3rd. It's going to be interesting, the final. It looks like it's all Ollier for the final, but the minor positions is open to anybody. But Adam Catling won't be happy. He made up a couple of places on that last lap to go back from 8th to 6th. But he was 4th at one point and going really well. Senior match. With
Robbie Rathbone on pole position for heat number 2, the number 8 driver. And then in 2nd place is the number 88, Jack Hayes Roberts. All the 8s lining up the front row of the grid. In row 2 will be the 21 of Troy Spencer and 63 of Leo Jackson. Row 3 will be 19, Mackenzie Stevens, and 32, Curtis Harding. With row 4, 29, Ben Knowles, and 54, Luke Davis. Row 5, 33, Tommy Lee, with 41, Zach Bowker. Row 6, 99, James Eyre, and number 18, Lucas Miles. Row 7, 42, John Bramwell, with 81, Lewis Smith. Row 8, 91, Alexander Mozayan, and number 103, Adam Cerner. Row 9, 53, Callum Kinder, with 61, Alex Eads. And lastly, row 10, 19th position for 72, Louis Mareka, and 26, James Barrett will line up on 20th. We didn't have 4 of the drivers finish in heat number 1. Alex Eads, Callum Kinder, James Barrett and Louis Mareka. They all DNF'd, unfortunately. Well, James Barrett actually DNS'd, did not start, is what DNS means, and DNF means did not finish. For anybody out there who's not quite in the motorsport, no.
Yeah, it's interesting. Alex Eads come here, part of the X-Kart team, run by Matty Street. Interesting. Alex Eads, big runner at national level. Expected to see him right at the front of the field here, but he's up against James Ollier, the local boy, and he's shown everybody, James, a clean pair of heels. But Alex Eads will have it all to do in the final, because I think did have some sort of issue in the first heat as well.
That looks like half of a rear axle, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right, yes.
That
it does.
is
it's completely snapped.
Incredible. I have never seen...
That looks like a clean snap, doesn't it?
I've never seen a rear axle snap that. I mean, he's holding the chain. I think the chain coming off is the least of his problems, to be honest, given the fact that his wheel and sprocket is... I'm amazed. I'll tell you what, I'll be slightly worried about the engine, because that's on the engine side.
Is that George Daniels?
Number 78, yeah, George Daniels.
Yeah, George Daniels. Now, he'll have the 360 camera on.
But I don't think he will.
In the final, he will.
He has a rear axle at that point.
That's assuming... I mean, Dave here at Modus will have a rear axle, so hopefully they'll be able to get that kart up and running. They'll have an hour or so to sort it out, so hopefully
he'll be back. I've never seen a rear axle snap that cleanly.
Yeah, well,
they are thick pieces of kit.
Yeah, I've seen it before, but that's very unusual. Where it has snapped, very unusual.
Yeah, normally
very unusual.
Put it this way, normally you use rear axles to try and unbend a cart. I've seen plenty of them. People, like grown men, jumping on it to try and unbend a cart. They can withstand an awful lot. And there's another spinner. Number 33 goes round in a circle. I'm not entirely sure who that is. Will I call them out? Will I be bothered to find them in my grid order? Yes, I will, because I am that kind of guy. Number 33, Tommy Lee. I should probably remember that just because it rhymes more than anything. Going round out of the pits, of course. And again, we'll put it down to learning. Hopefully they will learn better.
Well, yeah, you can put it down to learning. To be honest with you, I just don't think they do learn. They're just completely... I mean, coming out on cold tyres, just leaving the dummy grid and spin it round. At least, let's not go into what my son did when he was leaving the dummy. Oh, there's another one going. Oh, and he's collected the cart behind.
And you can see why it's a pet peeve of mine, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, let's just see if we've got a replay of that. I think he was just trying to turn in, and let's have a look, see what we've got. Come down towards us.
Coming now, you can already see they're trying to. Yeah, there we
go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody behind him, so he's not been contacted from behind. All his own work, unfortunately.
It's he's tried to lock the rears whilst turning, going into the corner, and the tyre's just not going to hold on to that. Anyway, the carts are all lining up. They're still weaving. Hopefully they don't hit each other this time. And we'll be able to get racing for the senior road taxes. As I said, this is the biggest grid that we've got for the day, with Robbie Rathbone and Jack Hayes-Roberts on pole position and in second place respectively. The number 8 is on pole. The number 88 is in second place. I'm sure there's some kind of satisfactory joke out there for all the 8s or something like that, but I can't think of it quick enough. So let's just get this race started, because the green lights are out and we are racing here at Hooton Park for the senior road taxes in the INDIKART Plus, and it looks like there's going to be a little bit of bumping and barging into turn number 1, but everybody gets away with it. They're still going about 3 or 4 wide into turn 2, and I tell you what, that's a brave move at the inside by the 81 of Lewis Smith. But for the race lead, it's the number 8 still leading the way, Robbie Rathbone. But number 88 is not in second place. It's Troy Spencer who's got his way into that podium position for the time being. It is only for the time being, because he's gone very wide and allowed not only Jack Hayes-Roberts, but also Leo Jackson, I believe, to slot up the inside. And there's so that means a change for second and third position midway through this first lap of the race. But Robbie Rathbone, much like a lot of the other leaders, to be honest, we haven't had a lot of challenges for race wins here in the first 2 races, first 2 heats, I should say, of any of the grids. Only probably 1 or 2 that I can remember. Everybody else has sort of managed to run away with it, and the fight has been either for second place or for the top 5. And that seems to be the way it's going for the time being. What can Jack Hayes-Roberts? Can he prove me wrong? Can he try and pile the pressure on and get within a couple of tenths of a second of his compatriot?
Well, one thing we do know, he's got the quality, Jack Hayes-Roberts, no doubt about it. He can bring the challenge here to Robbie Rathbone. Robbie is last year's junior champion. He had quite a good run in the October meeting that we filmed in the final when he was supposed to turn the 360 camera on, but had it on time-lapse mode, so we never got any 360 footage. But he went from sort of middle of the grid there to third place that day, so let's hope, well, he's got the 360 camera on today, but at the moment, if he starts pole and clears off like this, we're not going to see much action from it, are we? But anyway, we know he's a quality driver, Robbie, and being the junior champion here, as is Jack Hayes-Roberts, applying the pressure, as is Leo Jackson, somebody we know quite well as well. Known Leo for a long time. As he goes through the line, there's Leo with Troy Spencer in behind. Then comes Mackenzie Stevens, Ben Knowles, Curtis Harding, Tommy Lee, Lucas Miles and Zach Bowker rounding out the top 10. Alex Eads there in 11th place, Jack. I know Alex was coming here this weekend. He's one of the driver coaches for INDIKART. He would have expected to be where Robbie Rathbone is right now, so 11th place, not something he'll be enjoying right now.
Well, he'll be enjoying it better than he did in the first race, which he ended up obviously getting that DNF. So the fact that he's in the race, it's no surprise with the quality that you're telling us about there, that he has moved his way up the order.
Yeah, and let's be clear about it. Alex now will know I've had a DNF. I need to get as good a result as I can this time. He's already halfway up the field. He's still in 11th currently. If he can get up to 6th place, give himself a reasonable grid position for the final, who knows what can happen in the final, because we know he's got a lot of talent, a lot of quality, Alex Eads. So expect to see him in the final, maybe challenging for the win, who knows, because that, of course, is where the trophies are handed out. And Robbie Rathbone knows all about trophies, being the junior club champion here at Hooton Park.
Yeah, realistically, the heats are only to make sure that you're in with a shot at the final, don't you?
Correct.
And everybody wants to be.
Yeah, you don't win any trophies in the heats, do you?
No, absolutely not. A little bit of pride, but no trophies, of course. So, 63, Leo Jackson is currently winning the fight for third position, that final step on the podium. But it's not without competition, is it? Look at this. Troy Spencer, Mackenzie Stevens, Ben Knowles, all trying to hunt down currently the number 63. It's going to be a long, old battle. And I'll tell you what, it's, you see a lot of these. I'll tell you what the difference is, Alan. Between the drivers in INDIKART, you can tell, can't you, the more experienced versus the ones who are maybe only just starting in the grassroots level. I always judge it based on the helmet. Look at Leo Jackson, yes. The iridium visor, the custom paint kit, the decals on the car. It looks awesome. And then you've got Troy Spencer with the white helmet, the clear visor, the beginner kit, basically. But at the end of the day, none of that matters, because look how close they're racing out there on circuit. Yeah,
I mean, my son never had a painted helmet. That was the days when it was probably just about coming in, but I don't know, what's a painted helmet these days? Do you know the cost, Jack?
Oh,
800 quid?
800, well over 800 if you want it chromed and all that sort of thing. You're talking £2,000 if you want it chromed.
And there is a move. That looks like a move's gone through. Is that Troy Spencer's made that place up? Leo Jackson, of course, is a national level driver, races in various national championships. I think does Super 1 or did Super 1 previously, certainly. He's gone from third to fourth, and Troy Spencer there up into third now. So Leo is down to fourth, but you know Leo's got a lot of quality, that's for sure. But as you say, Jack, look at the comparison helmets. one is worth an absolute fortune, and one's just one you buy off the shelf and it's white. And these days, arguably, if you're a karting dad, having a white one makes your driver easy to pick out, because most drivers, especially at national level,
you're not wrong.
There's very few have got white helmets. They're all painted at national level, aren't they?
You're not wrong, and there are lots of drivers that I commentate on that actually paint their helmet based on whatever team they're in, and they change team every year. So therefore, you've got to get a new painted helmet every single year as well.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless, honestly. But
listen, at the end of the day, people say, "Oh, it's all about money. It's this, that, and the other." Yeah, it's motorsport. It's always been about money. It was the landed gentry and the lords and ladies that could afford cars that thought this would be a good idea. You know, let's go and do some racing of cars. And what if we crash them? We'll just buy another one.
Exactly.
It's always been about people with money. But this, as we've mentioned before, this is the absolute rootest of grassroots motorsport in karting. You can do it cheaply if you want to do it with your dad mechanicking, and it's basically enjoy it. You know, as long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the main thing in any form of motorsport, for the most part, of course. but people do tend to forget it with the more money you chuck at it, unfortunately. But there we go, it did get a little bit more competitive. But that's why people like to cut their teeth in this sort of standard of entry, I should say, in terms of the registration fee.
And let's be clear, hardly anybody is going to Formula One. Even at national championship level, hardly anybody is making Formula One. We know the likes of George Russell, Lando Norris, guys I've known since they were sort of 7, 8 years of age, and they just happen to come through, and others as well. But it's very, very rare. All right, some of them will go and race in sports cars and spend an absolute fortune doing that. It just depends on what your budget is at the end of the day, you know. But at this level, do it because you enjoy racing and you enjoy your time, and you make good friends and you have fun. That should be what it's all about.
I was going to say, a lot of people's ambition will be obviously to be a professional driver in any form, but even if you get to the touring car level, I can pretty much assure you that everybody on that touring car grid, the BTCC, have sort of forgotten to have fun with it as well. It's a checkered flag actually drops. We got so preoccupied with chatting about everything and anything in between. Robbie Pathbone has taken the victory here at the Rotax Senior Heat 2 INDIKART. Well, I've got all my words mixed up. He's taken the victory here at the INDIKART Plus Senior Rotax Heat 2. Jack Hayes-Roberts came home in second place. Troy Spencer was in third. Leo Jackson was in fourth. Mackenzie Stevens in fifth, with Ben Knowles in sixth place. Seventh, Curtis Harding. Eighth, Tommy Lee. And ninth, Lucas Miles. And rounding out the top 10, Alex Eads. He only managed to make up one more position, Alex Eads, the ex-kart driver coach. He's in the seniors. Obviously, Jacob Jukes is the ex-kart driver coach in Junior Max. And they have a whole host of drivers here in both of the road taxes. Right, that is the penultimate race of heat number 2. The final race of heat number 2, before we go away for a short break, maybe only about 15 minutes, will be the Senior Rotax 177 grid. The basically Senior Rotax is with a slightly heavier weight category, effectively, as I almost dropped my notes everywhere. I do apologise. On pole position for that one will be the race winner from Heat 1, James Dunn, number 52. Second place will be 66, Peter Abbott. Third place will be 23, Sam Booth. Fourth place will be 26, William Dransfield. Row 3 will be 45, Roger Moore. And 58, Ian Prestwich. And on row 4, and in 7th place, rounding out the field, will be the 25, David Blackhurst. And I can hear them revving up, ladies and gentlemen, which means one thing. They're going by my window, and they're coming onto your screens, and inevitably, they're spinning out of the pit lane as well. Number 60, no, that's not number 60. Oh, there's another one. 23, Sam Booth goes around. I'm pretty sure he went around in heat number one as well, actually.
You're loving it, Jack, aren't you?
I am.
I'm
feeling very smug right now. They can't even hear me because we're not over the PA system or anything either. So they're going to watch this back and cringe, I'm sure. I think, was that Peter Abbott? Because I did definitely see a number 6 in the first one that's spanned. But I suppose it doesn't really matter as long as they get round to the grid in the first place.
66 is Peter Abbott, isn't it?
66 potentially, who had that bit of a spin, but they do go around twice here because they're a Rotax category.
Yeah, we're on the Comic tyres, so with the organisers here just giving them a chance to get some heat into the tyres, a couple of laps, and
yeah, and we do have a bit of time spare, don't we? Of course, we're not too pushed for time just because we are so efficient here at Hooton Park. Well, I say we, I have nothing to do with it. But the marshals and the organisers are very efficient here at Hooton Park. One race in, one race out, and so far, touch wood, wood around me. I don't know if that's wood or fake wood, but either way, I'll touch it. There has been extremely clean driving standards. All in all, a lot of people finishing races, not a lot of people loading each other into turn 1s or 2s or anything like that. So therefore, there's not been that much recovery needed. And recovering is really what throws a spanner in the works in terms of a well-drilled and well-slicked. It was a number 66 that went round, actually, just for anybody out there who is wondering. Peter Abbott. But of course, yeah, if you have to recover carts, that is what basically takes up the time. And that's what throws schedules off That and red flags. So far, we haven't had any red flags, and we would like to keep it that way.
That's true, absolutely. Looks like we've, I don't know, so the stream problems we were having seems to have sorted themselves out. So here we go then. It says Senior Rotax on screen. Senior Rotax Heavy, of course. Senior Rotax 177. Off and running. Do they all get through turn 1 cleanly? Little bit of a contact there towards 5th and 6th place. Place made up, place lost. But we're underway and running.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure as they were going into turn 3 about an hour ago, an hour and a half ago or so, whenever the Heat 1 was, there was a little bit of loading and there was potentially someone who's spinning off on the outside, but it looks like they're all a little bit more separate than that, apart from the battle for race number 2, for his second place, sorry, as the 23, Sam Booth, gets overtaken by William Dransfield, and almost Sam Booth losing it through the double apex there as well, and loses it going into the final corner. That sends another driver off in sympathy. Roger Moore potentially went up the inside there, and I'm not entirely sure. William Dransfield confirmed up to second. Roger Moore and Ian Prestwich, but up the inside here goes a locking. Oh, I tell you what, that was a big moment for, I think, Ian Prestwich, who was the number 58. Look how they're going into the turn 2, though. It's going to be the 45 of Roger Moore defending from the 58 of Ian Prestwich, potentially, or is it a re-emerging Sam Booth? No, it's Peter Abbott, actually. I'm basically reading every single name out and guessing it's that. Apologies, I couldn't quite see the numbers. Peter Abbott, though, trying to chase down the likes of Roger Moore here for 3rd position. And up the inside there, I thought was going to make a move there, Alan. It's just gets the nose cut off from him, and there we go. Confirmation of the order now. James Dunn, William Dransfield, Roger Moore, Peter Abbott, Ian Prestwich, Sam Booth, and David Brackhurst. Oh, I tell you what, there's lots of jokes to be made about, I'm sure Roger Moore's heard them all before, but if you say Peter Abbott a bit too fast, it obviously sounds like a very famous children's character, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I didn't read the book, so I wouldn't be able to make any kind of jokes about it, and there's no jokes to be made because he is forcing his way up the inside, very nearly down a rabbit hole there.
Doesn't quite get it done, but yeah, Peter Abbott won the raffle that we held this week to win your registration and the 6 filmed rounds, entry fees for the 6 filmed rounds. It was £684 prize for a £1 ticket price, and Peter Abbott was drawn as the winner on Friday night, so he'll be racing his season here in INDIKART Plus for free. We do another raffle for next month. It will be for a set of slicks and your entry fee, and that will be again for a ticket price of just £1, so chance to get a decent weekend's racing with tyres and entry fees paid for £1. But yeah, Roger Moore, as you mentioned there, I've done all the jokes last time, not going to do any more. He is a kitchen fitter extraordinaire. So if you need a new kitchen, Roger's your man.
He is indeed, and it looks like the 52 of James Dunn is going to have a little bit of pressure, isn't he, from William Dransfield just behind him in 2nd place. And well, we saw James Dunn sort of leading the way and running away with it somewhat. That's not the case this time round in heat number 2. Really good driving from William Dransfield. Roger Moore having to keep off the attack of Peter Abbott and Ian Prestwich just behind. So wherever you look, there's pretty much battles. It's only David Blackhurst that is rotating the circuit pretty much on his lonesome as they come across the line. William Dransfield sets the fastest lap of the race by 0.2 of a second quicker than our race leader James Dunn, and then the next 4 cross the line as well. Nobody beats Dransfield's overall lap time, but they're all lapping within about 100th of each other. Really impressive stuff here with the Senior Rotax 177s.
Fantastic race going on for the lead and also for 3rd place overall. This is the battle for 3rd place overall. Moore, Abbott, Prestwich and Booth. But out front, James Dunn under pressure now from William Dransfield, who's looking like, well, he can judge what he's doing based on the leader. He can judge where he's braking based on what the leader's doing and then pick a moment to overtake. But at the moment, we're covering the battle for 3rd place, and what a great battle this is.
It is indeed, yeah. Roger Moore leading the way. The kitchen fitter extraordinaire, of course, as we're now knowing him. You never know. If you're around the Cheshire area, you need a kitchen. Well, Roger Moore has a license to drill, so he'll can get round to yours and be able to fit that no problem at all.
Nice,
yeah,
nice. I like to see what you did there. Yeah. That's nice quality, that right there.
Speaking of quality, James Dunn is about to get a lesson in it, I fear, from William Dransfield. He's been very, very quick. Both of these drivers, it is easier to catch than be caught. James Dunn, he may well turn it on as soon as he gets overtaken, but is he going to be overtaken? That's the biggest question, because we've got 7 laps done in the book. There were 12 laps heat, and around the outside, no, a really good dive at the inside into the double apex by Dransfield. Not having it just yet, though, but an awful lot of problems and a lot of headaches, I'm sure, for James Dunn to have to deal with now until the end of the race. I would say if they were in an actual car, William Dransfield is filling the mirrors of James Dunn. But of course, we're in go-karting and they don't have rear view mirrors. So that sort of cliche doesn't really work. But you get the idea, ladies and gentlemen. There's a headache to be had.
Listen, nothing beats Roger Moore, kitchen fitter, licensed to drill. That's quality right there. Quality commentary that everybody's going to be talking about for a week to come.
It's what you pay me for that one
Thank
line,
you.
Alan. It's why I come over from Leeds.
Yeah. You're not getting any more either.
No, definitely not.
And you're not getting any Roger Moore, no.
But please, ladies and gentlemen, the YouTube chat, if you think you can beat it, by all means, give it a go. And say hello to everybody out there. Give a good look to, obviously, Alan is reading through the YouTube chat. That seems to have stabilised somewhat from its connection issues before. It's always nice to have a chat with you guys. And I'll be keeping an eye on it as Alan goes out and flies the drone for the finals, for those extra fancy camera angles that he's going to be putting on for the edit for the highlight show. Yeah,
extra camera angles. We've got one covering the S's, another one covering the back straight. We'll have the drone, of course, the cable cam. Not sure how much of the cable cam we're going to get, and then we've got the 360 cameras that we've got in some of the classes. Our 360 camera crew let us down this weekend in the week of the event, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll get them in next time. This is a great battle though, isn't it, these three?
Yeah, clambering all over the curves of the double apex there of turn number 9. The final turn was Sam Booth. Just doesn't quite happen for him though. It's almost like he's forcing the issue a little bit. However, he's just had a potential opportunity handed his way by Peter Abbott, going a little bit wide, missing the apex through turn number 1. This is, of course, the Hooton Park INDIKART Plus meeting. If you are just joining us, the finals are well on their way just after the end of this race, and there's only 1 lap to go. We are on the last lap of the race. James Dunn, in fact, I think is about to finish and take the check. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's nowhere near it. My apologies. He's got about half a lap to go. I do apologise, getting ahead of myself there. But William Dransfield has dropped off the hunt somewhat. I did think, actually, I had a bit of a mind back there. I thought Dransfield had actually got into the lead at one point, but no. James Dunn has managed to turn it back on, and he's able to pull away from Dransfield by a 10th of a second per lap for the last 2 or 3 laps. And he's going to take the checkered flag here for the Senior Rotax INDIKART Plus heat number 2, and I think that means James Dunn will be on the pole position for the final. You can guarantee it's not done and dusted just yet, but he is in the best opportunity. William Dransfield in 2nd place. Roger Moore is in 3rd. Sam Booth ends up in 4th place. Peter Abbott ended up falling down the rabbit hole, unfortunately, and he went down to 5th place. 6th was Ian Prestwich, and 7th, I think, we're just waiting for him to finish up the race, will be David Blackhurst. The only driver, really, that was all on his own, unfortunately. That was a really good, close race for the Senior Rotax 177. Right, that is the final race of the heats. Heat number 2 and heat number 1 done and dusted. We're going to go into the finals, ladies and gentlemen. It does mean that we have to take a very short break for 10 or 15 minutes while we set a few of the cameras up, we rechange the batteries. We don't want to have missing any of the brilliant action that we've had out here. And of course, the finals is where all the marbles are won. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes' time for all the action. And I am back, ladies and gentlemen. Just before we get into the grids, I actually need the grids. That would help, wouldn't it? Before we get into the grids, I will tell you that the finals are going to be 14 laps long. So 14 laps long, slightly different. The previous heats were 12 laps long, apart from the Bambinos. When the heats were 10, but the final is going to be 12 laps long. Right. Junior Rotax final. Pole position. The man who's dominated for most of today, well, pretty much all today, he's come out on pole position with a maximum points of 60 is number 54, James Ollier. In second place alongside him, number 7, Zane Stout. In third place will be 25, Morgan Hudson. In fourth place will be Adam Catling. Is worth noting as well. Actually, Morgan Hudson and Zane Stout ended up going into this final with equal points, both 55 points. It's just the fastest lap, I think, went to Zane Stout by 0.5 of a second, which means he's on the front row. Row 3, number 41, Daniel Whitfield, and number 12, Ben Horner. They're both on equal points as well. And so is Jacob Jukes on row number 4 in 7th place, number 34, Jacob Jukes. All three of those drivers were on 48 points, amazingly. In 8th place, number 10, James Koichelek. Row 5, 38, Lewis Summer, and 8, Bartek Filipake. Row 6, 59, Charlie Gillam, and number 51, Archie Doherty. Row 7, number 78, George Daniels, and 22, Benjamin Gordon. Row 8, 21, Molly Pugh, and 52, James Kell. Row 9, 26, Oliver Lomax, and the number 14, Harry Hurst Grover. And you have carts on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, and that means we are about to go into the final. And there's people waiting outside with bated breath, I'm sure, to see what's about to occur for the next 14 laps here. And there's going to be plenty of tyre warming, I'm sure, and there's going to be plenty of racing. They do get 2 laps worth of warming up. One to warm up their tyres and another one to basically get into formation. And remember, yes, you might be slightly surprised not to see the Bambinos as the first final because they were the first heats with the Junior Max, followed by the Senior Max, followed by the Senior Max 177, and then the Bambinos, Micro Maxes, Hondas, and the Mini Maxes will round out the day. So that is the order of the finals. If you're wondering if we are with 15 minutes behind schedule, that's because we needed 15 minutes to basically get out there and sort some of the cameras out, make sure that we get the highest quality production that we can for the highlight show that will be on Sporty Stuff TV in a couple of weeks' time. And if you're wondering where that is, well, my best answer is to Google it on your respective TV subscriptions, whether it's going to be on Freeview or whether it's on Sky or Virgin or anything like that. You can, I'm sure, Google it, but I think it's on Freeview TV, so everybody should be able to access it in about 2 weeks' time, where you'll see all the action from the Junior Senior Road Tax Max Championships here at the INDIKART Plus at Hooton Park, and we are away and racing, and it's a good start there made by, I believe, the number 7, Zane Stout in the Tony car, going around the outside of a whole host of drivers. James Ollier in the 54, I don't think quite got the start that he was hoping for. No, and for the first time today, I believe, he's dropped down into second place, which is not ideal, obviously, for James Ollier's final attempt here to take all of the points. But that's a good start for him, though, because Zane Stout ends up going really wide through the double apex and gifts that first place back to James Ollier, sorry, my apologies. Across the line, Morgan Hudson and Adam Catling are taking advantage by the fact that Zane Stout lost out on that position. Jacob Jukes, and I think he's just got ahead of Ben Horner as well. That's been a battle that has basically heated up for the entirety of the weekend, and I'm very interested to see how it actually comes to a head. Of course, there is 10 championship rounds to the INDIKART Plus Championship. 6 of them are going to be broadcasted. This is one of them, so we got 5 more after this. 1 in April, 1 in May, 1 in July, 1 in October, and then November. The INDIKART Plus Championship does run every single month, but those ones that I've just read out, February, March, April, July, October, November, just for a repetition, are the ones that are broadcasted and will be featured on Sporty Stuff TV in a couple of weeks' time as well. So in the final, Ollier has not had it all his own way, but equally, since that half a lap scare that he had where he was all the way down in second position, can you believe it? He has managed to get back up, and he's leading by 1.1 seconds across the line last time round, and I believe even after only just half a lap more, or nearly a lap more, it's probably going to be even further ahead. Morgan Hudson going for that wide entry line trying to straighten up the exit. It's a really good way of getting into turn 1 very quickly, but it does open up an opportunity for somebody to really launch on the inside, put a nose in there. It's a bit dangerous for Morgan Hudson. The gap is now 1.6 of a second. A bit too big a gap for anybody to be thinking about going for the race lead. But Adam Zane Stout, there's no Stout in my mind. He's going forward if he can, and he's against Adam Catling, looking at the inside pretty much constantly. The Mando Norris kart, always one of the smartest looking karts out there in my opinion, but I do have a soft spot for the Tony kart, as that's what I used to run in. Oh, a launch on the inside there by Jacob Jukes. We just missed that from the camera. He appears very dramatically up the inside of Daniel Whitfield to take his way into the top 5. Remember, Jacob Jukes, one of the driver coaches for X-Kart, which have sent through a fantastic amount of information that's based around sort of what they do, who's involved, how they came to fruition, and all that sort of thing. We just haven't had time to really talk about it, because every time one of their drivers comes onto the broadcast, they're doing something exciting, and we need to talk about what they're doing out there on track. But yeah, the Northwest-based team obviously made their, well, not obviously, but made their sort of start in indoor karting over in Rochdale, actually. Alex Eads and Jacob Jukes, both of their driver coaches, currently out there actually competing in the INDIKART Championship. Probably a little bit cutting their teeth already for the rest of the season. A lot of the drivers out there will be very interested in doing other national championships. And there's a lunge there by Zane Stout. He's not going to make it stick though. Jacob Jukes potentially is going to go around the outside of the double apex. No, he thinks better of it. Is he going to go for the cutback? No, he's not able to get that one done. Adam Catling then had a little bit of a scare. Managed to hold off the attack for the time being. It's a little bit loose through the S's. I tell you what, this is first and second may be slightly done and dusted, but the fight for third is really anyone's guess. As I said, 14 laps in these finals. We've had 6 of them already. There's only a 36-second lap, so realistically, it's only a 7-minute race, 7 or 8 minutes. Currently the fastest driver out there, no surprise. The best lap of the race is currently James Ollier. Oh, and there's a little bit of Constantino effect there as Jacob Jukes hits the brakes a little bit and therefore gets hit by Ben Horner and Daniel Whitfield. A little too excited here in the Junior Road Tax Max category. And I have to say, touch wood still. I think the wall next to me is some kind of wood, so I'm going to touch that. The driving standards have been really rather good. I've been very impressed by it. Not many big incidents. No malicious intent out there either. The driving standards overall, in every sense of the word, been pretty top dollar. Only mistakes made, sort of driver errors that have sort of opened up doors. Nothing really major that has meant that we've had to have a big caution period or many yellow flags out there. Probably the marshals are quite cold, but to be honest, although the marshals do an absolutely brilliant job out there, we like them to be cold because that means that they don't have much to do. There's nothing really wrong out there on circuit. So well done to the marshals. And hopefully we keep it a nice quiet day for you all round. I'm going to try and keep an eye on the YouTube chat, so please do keep in mind, oh, there's a tap of the head by Adam Catling. I wonder if that's anything to do with the fact that he's just made a massive mistake into turn 2. And I think he's probably going to tell himself to calm down rather than the drivers behind him, because it didn't look like there was any contact. From my perspective, speaking of contact, there's still bumping and margin between Jacob Jukes, Ben Horner, Daniel Whitfield as they go through the double apex. Through the S's now. It's a very wide line there by, again, Adam Catling. It does mean that he gets a really good exit. It does potentially save him into turn 1. Is it going to save him this time? Yes, it does, but Zane Stout starting to get a little bit more impatient there, looking at the inside. Not anything doing for the time being. And Adam Catling through that turn 2 is a little bit risky, but here's a risk from Jacob Jukes up the inside of Zane Stout, who once led this race, remember. Zane Stout demoted down into 5th position. Really good move there by Jacob Jukes. He's showing why he's a driver coach potentially. Now, can he go forward? Does he retain that position, or does he have to start looking over his shoulder once again? We'll have to wait and see what the boy is made of here. The front 2 made a very quick material. Here goes Jacob Jukes on the inside into turn number 1. Forces and muscles Adam Catling out of the way and gets himself into 3rd place and onto the podium. The Lando Norris kart is going to have to think about defending now as he sees the floodgates open, as he gets a little bit of contact there by Zane Stout, and Ben Horner goes through, and pretty much everybody else in that little battle goes through, all the way down to James Kunchelek in 9th place. Well, he's up to 8th place now. It's not Jacob Jukes, sorry, it's Adam Catling who's fallen down the order. It did look, you got the sense, there was a whiff of cork in the bottle there, I felt. a little bit. Jacob Jukes into third, Zane Stout into fourth, Daniel Whitfield into fifth, Ben Hornham in sixth, Lewis Summer in seventh place. There's an overtake into turn number 2 as well. I missed that. I think that might be something to do with the back marker, to be fair. As another X car has to get out of the way. Yeah, it is a back marker. I didn't see any blue flags, but the fact that they jumped out of the way that much must only mean that it has to be a back marker. And Catling really there is there's a harsh lesson to be learned, unfortunately for him. And to be fair, he defended really well, but everybody else has got a little bit bored of following in possession behind. And once they saw Jacob Jukes get his elbows out, force the driver wide, maybe showed that he's there to be pushed out of the way, everybody else decided to do exactly the same, didn't want to be left in the dust. It's up to the clerk of the course whether it's unfair or not. It's not for us to decide here in the commentary box or indeed in the YouTube chat. But then again, you won't get in trouble if you put your opinion in the YouTube chat. Obviously, try and keep it clean. We don't want to have to report or ban anyone. Give us your opinion. Was that a clean move, or was it a little bit something to be looked at? We'll have to wait and see. James Ollier then, who's about to round out the final lap of this race. He's already started the final lap. And he's got a 3.4 second gap between himself and Morgan Hudson, who in himself has got about a 3.6 second gap between himself and that battle between Jacob Jukes and basically everybody else in this field. There's been so much good racing in the rear end, we just haven't been able to see it too much, but hopefully out there you can appreciate why, as the checkered flag flies in the face of James Ollier, who makes it 3 from 3 here today, 2 heats and a final. It's a perfect weekend so far for James Ollier, as Morgan Hudson takes second place, Jacob Jukes takes third after muscling his way through towards the rear end of that race. Zane Stout was in fourth, Daniel Whitfield in fifth, sixth was Ben Horner, seventh Lewis Summer, and eighth James Kelchenek. Considering he qualified in second place earlier on, he probably won't be overly impressed with an 8th. He's thinking maybe this weekend could have gone a little bit better for him. Adam Catling, well, he was in a good position, but it all came tumbling down for him over the course of about 2 laps, in about the 9th or 10th lap, I believe it was. Top 10 rounded out by Harry Hurst Rover. And that is all she wrote for the Junior Rotax Max final here at the INDIKART Plus at Hooton Park. Up on your screen next will be Senior Rotax finals. And as I get my grids ready, the track does go silent out there, and it's nice to see so many people turning up. And I actually started commentating in real world racing when it was during COVID, and we weren't allowed anybody at the circuits. It's so nice that even at this club level, it feels like a really good atmosphere. So the Senior Rotax final then, on pole position will be Robbie Rathbone. This is the grid with the most amount of drivers on it, ladies and gentlemen, so I will read these out starting from now. Robbie Rathbone, the number 8, has got full 60 points under his name, as the same sort of domination that James Ollier has been demonstrating in the junior category. In second place is Jack Hayes-Roberts with a double second place finishes earlier in the day. Row 2 will be Troy Spencer in number 21. And the number 63 of Leo Jackson. Row 3, 19, Mackenzie Stevens, and 29, Ben Knowles. Row 4 will be 32, Curtis Harding, and 33, Tommy Lee. Hopefully he doesn't spin it coming out of the pits this time. Row 5, 18, Lucas Miles, and number 41, Zach Bowker. Row 6 will be 99, James Eyre, and the 54 of Luke Davis. Row 7, 91, Alexander Mizoyan, and 81, Lewis Smith. Row 8 will be 42, John Bramwell, and 103 of Adam Cerner. Row 9, 61, Alex Aid, and 53, Callum Kinder. Row 10 will be 72, Louis Marica, and James Barrett rounds out the field in 20th position. Alex Eads is another one of those drivers that actually is a driver coach for the X-Kart team, and I can probably tell you a little bit about the X-Kart team, considering they've given us the information. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there, if your only teams are watching this or anything like that, and you want any extra information read out on stream, by all means send it to Alan at TDI Media. He'll forward it on to me. We'll put it in the pack ready to read out. And if there is a lull in proceedings, like there is just now, I will do my best to try and read out this sort of information and bring you up to date with the sort of teams that and the drivers that we have out here for this weekend. INDIKART, remember, is a Northwest-based racing team. They started karting indoors at Rochdale, and apparently they're specialists in motorsport progression. But indoor karting to outdoor karting and all the way up to cars as well. In fact, they operate as an academy branch and a driver progression branch. So they sort of want to progress drivers both physically, mentally, branding and sponsorship proposals as well. Basically, they want to take a driver all the way up into the opportunities of car racing, which of course, I was about to say, of course, is a lot more expensive than go-karting. It depends on your level of go-karting, to be honest. I know a lot of people who spend a lot of money in go-karting.
Yep, plenty of people spend a lot of money. Here come the senior Rotax, and that's Robbie Rathbone, who's carrying our 360-degree onboard camera. The poleman spun it out. Now, I don't wish him any ill or anything, but let's hope he can't recover his position, because instead of starting from the front, he might have to start from the back, and we get all the overtaking action as he comes through the field. That would be great. Unfortunately, as we rejoin it, he's recovered his position.
Robbie Rathbone, Jack Hayes-Roberts, they've put on a show for us. Troy Spencer versus Leo Jackson, that's been one to keep an eye out on as well. And then we got the battle for the top 5. Ben Knowles, Tommy Lee, Curtis Harding, Mackenzie Stevens. They've all been around and about the place. And Alex Eads as well, charging through the order. Let's see how they get on here. The Senior Rotax IndyKart Plus Championship final for the first round. And it's a good start by Robbie Rathbone. Yes, it is. Into the race lead. And I think, actually, he's dragged along potentially Troy Spencer. And there's a few spinners on the outside of turn number 1. We'll see if we can find out who they are in a couple of minutes' time. But we're going to focus on the front 2 because they have pulled away something chronic from the likes of Jack Hayes-Roberts. Yeah, I mean, the fact that Troy Spencer was already into second place. Remember, he started in 3rd. He was already in 2nd by the start-finish line. That's why it says his name in 2nd place on the left-hand side. That's based on whose transponder crosses the line first. So, yeah, Jack Hayes-Roberts with a really terrible start, unfortunately, just got caught. And he's going to have to do an awful lot of hard work now if he's going to try and chase back, because he's all the way down into 5th position. Mackenzie Stevens and Curtis Harding have managed to get ahead of him. And that is a big bit of a drama, I would say, and a big bit of work to have to be done by the number 88. And is this the start of the comeback, launching himself at the inside of the 32? Curtis Harding, who gets muscle out of it as well by, I think, charging Leo Jackson potentially. The 18 here is trying to get through. Lucas Miles has gotten through on the 32 of Curtis Harding as well, who's really not had a lap to remember here in the 2nd lap of the race. Robbie Rathbone has already got, wait for it, a 1.3 second gap between himself and Troy Spencer, who will be very pleased with how his final's gone so far. And Alexander Mazoyan fallen down into 11th place as well. And quite a lot of drivers making some moves. Jack Hayes-Roberts, again, in that 4th place at the moment. He wants that podium position back off Mackenzie Stevens. And you can see them there going through the double apex. We'll have to wait and see how they pop out at the other end. There's the 53 of Callum Kinder, and Jack Hayes-Roberts is through. He's got into 3rd place ahead of Mackenzie Stevens. One more place back. Can he catch down Troy Spencer? What is the gap as they go across the line? It's 1.8 seconds. It's doable. There's plenty of laps to go. 11 laps to go, in fact. That's the gap on your screen right now. Jack Hayes-Roberts in the green card. And flitting through your screen there was Troy Spencer in the white helmet just ahead of him, the number 21. It's going to be a big ask for Hayes-Roberts, but he's just as quick as Robbie Rathbone. Can he start to churn out those fastest laps? The best lap of the race so far has been put down by Robbie Rathbone, a 36.354. We'll probably expect that to tumble down a little bit more as the race progresses. Coming across the line, is that a little lunge from one of the Tony cars in the background there? Was that the 53? Yes, it was. 53, Callum Kinder. I don't know if he actually made the move stick against Curtis Harding. No, he didn't. But Curtis Harding having to, get a big lunge and a big hit on the backside by a very aggressive Callum Kinder. I thought that going into T1 that he may be a little bit too aggressive with his entry into the corners, and he was very aggressive there. Actually, he didn't lose out anything. In fact, the 2 drivers that stopped around behind him were Ben Knowles and Alex Eads. He's charged through the order. Alex Eads had something to prove, I'm sure, after that race 1 that really put him on the back foot for the rest of this weekend. Again, it looks like that Kinder maybe just dialed it back a little bit there, maybe learned his lesson, because really, racecraft is not all about just aggressive and going forward. He can easily lose as many places by trying to attack than you can just by being nice and calm and trying to get your head down, working together with the drivers around you and trying to pick out the best opportunity. Learn the kart ahead of you is what I always got told. If you're in a position where maybe they're a tenth or two slower than you, learn where that tenth or two is. It's not going to be on every corner. It's only going to be on a handful. And into turn one, here we go. There's a move, and I think that was a move for Jack Hayes Roberts potentially into second place. No, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's a bit of a back marker. I'm not 100% on that one, unfortunately. It may have been Callum Kinder. May have just lost that position again. As number 32 flies through our screen. That's Tommy Lee. And the 18 of Lucas Miles. So the 18th, Mackenzie Stevens just up ahead of them. Look at the difference that Jack Hayes Roberts has been able to pull out here. Into third place, and he's catching. He's only got 1 second, pretty much bang on, to catch up to the likes of Troy Spencer on that last lap. He was about 2/10 quicker as well, so there is an opportunity here that we're going to have a change for second place. There's an opportunity for a change for sixth as well as Lucas Miles piles the pressure on. Here comes Callum Kinder yet again. I think it was Callum Kinder and Alex Eads against Curtis Harding earlier on that we saw the lunge. I got a little bit lost of who we were looking at. But Callum Kinder is up to 8th place. And here he goes. Oh, I thought he was going to go for a lunge on the inside there, but it wasn't to be for the time being. 33, Tommy Lee, sponsored by Century Sim Racing by the looks of it. I think they're based in Warrington, I want to say. To be honest, that's not in my notes. It's just what I instinctively think. Oh, there's a big lunge up the inside there. Is he going to make it stick? That'd be an incredible move if he does do the double apex. We don't see that very often. Going up the inside of apex number 1 and then managing to keep it through apex 2 and on the exit. Good move there by the 53 Callum Kinder. He's certainly an assertive driver when it comes to his racing moves, we'll put it that way. So I think Lucas Miles has potentially lost out on Alex Eads and Curtis Harding as well in that particular lap. And around the outside we have another aggressive move by Callum Kinder through the double apex. He did it on the inside once. Can he do it on the outside? I think actually he got the switchback. And as they go through the S's, it is Callum Kinder up to 6th position ahead of the 33 Tommy Lee. Alex Eads has followed all the way through as well, and we'll see just by how many he's managed to gain. Lucas Miles down to 9th position, Curtis Harding in 10th, Ben Knowles in 11th. And up the inside there, who's that, 61? Alex Eads getting past the 33, Tommy Lee. And Alex Eads holding on to that position through turn number 3. And I tell you what, all this is just starting to culminate in there. Tommy Lee, oh my days! Oh, how aggressive can you be to go over to that inside of the circle? Yes, very brave. Cut the nose off, he could easily be in with a massive spin. We are on lap 11 out of 14, ladies and gentlemen, so only 3 left to go. Robbie Rathbone doesn't look like he's going to be caught, but one driver who has been caught is Troy Spencer. The gap is only 0.2 of a second. We haven't managed to focus on it that much because of the action that's been going on just inside the top 10. But I can tell you now, there is going to be a fight for second place. Oh, and up the inside there, the 32. That is Curtis Harding trying to make good of what was a little bit of an unfortunate second lap. He's going aggressive on Lucas Miles. Oh, and I tell you what, that's very, very wide there by Lucas Miles himself. Maybe not quite in full control of that go-kart. Maybe it's a little bit, setup's a little bit wrong. Going through turn 1 there. Here we go, here is the leader then. This is the number 8 of Robbie Rathbone. He's on lap 8. Sorry, he's on lap 12. He is the number 8, my apologies. We are on to the final lap of the race. Robbie Rathbone crosses the line there, and there is the fight for second place. That's probably the one that we're going to have to keep an eye out on the timing screens as we watch Robbie Rathbone complete this and take his victory lap at this point. 4 seconds clear of a fighting Troy Spencer and Cameron and Jack Hayes Roberts. Jack Hayes Roberts has done an awful lot of work to try and get up to within a shot of getting his second place back, which is of course where he qualified, and it's where he finished race 1. It's where he finished race 2. Is it going to be where he finishes the final as well? Jack Hayes-Roberts, don't think he's quite going to do it, but Robbie Rathbone certainly is. He takes the checkered flag, he puts his hand in the air and he celebrates the fact that he got a victory here in the final for the senior road taxis. Troy Spencer across the line after doing just about enough to hold off Jack Hayes-Roberts. Leo Jackson in 4th, Mackenzie Seligans in 5th, Callum Kinder, probably, in my opinion, one of the most entertaining drivers of the day. Just in that final alone, comes home in 6th place. 7th is Alex Eames, 8th Tommy Lee, Curtis Harding in 9th, and the top 10 man of Art Lucas.
At this point, we seem to have lost the commentary from Jack Oliphant. We'll press a few knobs, turn a few buttons, or press a few buttons, turn a few knobs, and try and bring him back as soon as we possibly can. But it is the Senior Rotax 177 or Rotax 177 class that is up next. The grid positions basically are as you see on your screen. James Dunn, who won the earlier heats, will go off pole from William Dransfield alongside. There's Sam Booth, Ian Prestwich, Peter Abbott, Roger Moore, no jokes from me this time, and David Blackhurst. 7 karts on this grid for the Rotax 177 final. Should be, hopefully, quite competitive. Let's see, as he come down to the start line. Start line's all freshly painted, through the line, here we go then, and that looks like Dransfield off, it is! Maybe had a little bit of contact into turn 1 there, and Will Dransfield from P2 is already down in P7 with a lot of work to do, and James Dunn, 52, is out front and clearing off already. Let's have a look at the replay of that incident. Was there any contact from behind? Looks like there was a little bit of locking up from the kart behind. That's the man currently in 2nd place, but whether the officials have seen anything remains to be seen. It was looked like it was Sam Booth, I think, who was in behind. Yeah, he's moved up to 2nd place now. Roger Moore up to 3rd. Then Peter Abbott's dropped 1 to 4th place. Ian Prestwich comes next from Dave Blackhurst, and William Dransfield obviously clearly at the back of the field now, 7th of the 7 runners. I did say I wasn't going to make up any more funnies for Roger Moore, but Jack Oliphant has come up with an absolute classic. I think it was earlier in the day. You may have heard it, you may have not, but if you didn't hear it, it was well worth repeating. I did say Roger Moore, master kitchen fitter, Roger Moore, and Jack Oliphant came up with the classic line, Roger Moore, kitchen fitter, licensed to drill. And that is an absolute classic. We're looking at the battle here, 3 of them in it, for 3rd place. That is Moore from Peter Abbott and Ian Prestwich. Said before, Peter Abbott won the registration and entry fees for the 6 film rounds on Friday as he goes up the inside of Moore and takes that place. So he is up into the podium positions as things stand. It was actually, it wasn't, I don't think it was Peter that bought the ticket. He bought some tickets himself. I think it was his dad bought some extra tickets, and it was Dad that actually won the raffle. So Peter is racing free of charge this year at the Hooton Park INDIKART Plus meetings. A little bit of a lock up there for the man in 5th place. It was Ian Prestwich. Just managed to hold on to it as they come up to Hooton Hairpin one more time. Out of Hooton Hairpin, there's a little kink, left-hand kink, there it is, just as they go past it, into the double apex at in the middle of the circuit. Out of that, up the straight into the Wilson S's. Here we are. Wilson S's brings you out onto the final turn on the track, Stanlow, and then down to the start-finish line one more time. Comfortable win this should be. I say comfortable win, it's commentator's curse maybe, for James Dunn out front on the 52 kart, well clear. Sam Booth in 2nd place. We've not heard anything about any penalties for the what looked like a little bit of contact. Wasn't much in it, but obviously it impacted William Dransfield. He's actually made up a place, made a place back. He's back up into 6th place. He went through the line last time. This is the main battle on the track in this race, and that is between Peter Abbott in 4th place and Ian Prestwich in 5th. I say this is the main battle. There's actually 2 battles now. The timing's lagging a little bit behind, But as he come through the gate at turn 2, you'll see just out front there, you've got Sam Booth and Peter Abbott battling for second and third, and Roger Moore trying to hold on to fourth place from Ian Presswich. So these are the two main battles now. In behind them, you've got William Dransfield making a good comeback. This is a great effort to come back from how far behind he was. We know he's got pace because he qualified for this final P2, and he's rapidly closing on the two drivers in front of him. The 58 of Ian Presswich and the 45 of Roger Moore. Still battling out front here. We're with this battle now for second and third. This is for the podium places. Sam Booth and Peter Abbott battling over that place. Peter Abbott, it's a free roll for Peter Abbott. As they say in poker, he's not having to pay anything to enter any of the INDIKART Plus Championship rounds, and he got his registration free as well in the raffle that his dad won for him. £1 a ticket. We'll be doing another raffle next month, by the way. We'll be doing a set of tyres, slick tyres, and entry fee for round 2. So that's a prize that's in the £240 range, something like that, I guess. 240 and change maybe. But we've got a three-way battle now for 4th, 5th and 6th, and William Dransfield looks like he's going to turn 6th into 4th sometimes very soon. You can clearly see he's got a lot of pace, and a lot more pace than those drivers in front of him in the black helmet. That is Will Dransfield, who was off obviously in that incident going through turn 1 at the start of the race, but he's just got to look for a way past now. The hairpin will be a good opportunity, no doubt. So Abbott all over the back of Sam Booth. He's looking for the switchback. He's going outside into the hairpin. Try and come underneath, Willie. No, not close enough. Through the little kink down to the double apex, and Dransfield looking down the inside of that double apex, but has a look, just window shopping, not at the sails. Ooh, nearly a little bit of contact there. He's getting frustrated now, and that has cost him. Look at that, 5 or 6 kart lengths just making that one move. The leader, James Dunn, well clear. Bit of a boring race for James, not seeing much of him obviously as we concentrate on the battles in the field. This is again second and third. Sam Booth still from Peter Abbott, and getting closer. Looks like Roger Moore's getting closer. He's going to get into this mix, and I say he's going to get into the mix. He's in the mix now. I did say before the race started, I thought it could be pretty competitive. Another look there up the inside for second place by Peter Abbott, but nothing more than that at this stage. I did say I hoped it would be competitive, and you can see it is highly competitive. 4, second, third, 4th, 5th and 6th all in the picture. Now, the man out in first place, James Dunn, he's not in the picture. He's a mile clear, so not competitive as far as he's concerned. He is well clear and in a different postcode from everybody else right now. But this battle here, as we see, a move up the inside. Do we? Oh, he's holding on to the place, in fact, in front of Will Dransfield. Dransfield looking down the inside into the double apex. Has he made that work? No, he hasn't. And that has got to be frustrating for Will Dransfield. He's, as we saw earlier, as Dunn goes through the line there, that's the lead he's got. He's already gone through the line. He's not even in the picture as we cut to the camera covering the finish line. And there's Booth, Abbott, Moore, Prestwich and Dransfield through the line, pretty much line astern. Roger Moore lost a little bit of time on that lap. He was much closer when he came through the hairpin last time, you might remember, to the two in front. But he can judge his braking on what the two in front are doing. And of course, if they have any sort of contact, as we saw a little bit there, that will help the man in 4th place, Roger Moore, to get that much closer. And everybody behind him, they're close enough as well. So this one isn't over in terms of the trophy positions. Who's going to be second, who's going to be third? At the moment it's Booth from Abbott, but it could be anything by the end of the race, let's be fair. Ian Presswich now is down to 6th place, in fact, as they go through the line. And there is Dransfield on the 26. He's over the back of Roger Moore. Roger Moore closer this time in the hairpin, has a look. That will slow him down. In fact, they come side by side. And here comes Dransfield trying to make it 3 abreast and makes a great move for that position. So Dransfield up to 4th, drops Roger Moore down 1 and already looking for 3rd. Dransfield showing his real quality after the early off in turn 1. And he's coming back through the field. The starter holds the last lap board out as the cameraman pans across to pick up the leader. There is the leader. James Dunn will follow him round on the last lap, give him a little bit of exposure, even though the battle that really we want to see is behind him. But James Dunn is going to be a worthy winner here at Hooton Park in the first round of the INDIKART Plus Championship. Full points. You get 10 points for being on pole as he takes the checkered flag, and then 20 points for winning the race, so that's 30 points. I'm not sure whether there might be an extra point for a fastest lap. We'll have to check that. Sam Booth it is, it goes through in second place. Dransfield up to third, made that place up on the last lap. Peter Abbott will have to satisfy himself with fourth place, and Ian Prestwich and Roger Moore ended up in sixth place, and David Blackhurst, better get his name right as we've not really seen much of him. We may see him just come through the line, but David Blackhurst rounds out the 7. So that's Rotax 177, still struggling to get Jack Oliphant's microphone working, but we'll carry on as things stand. And the next race up is for Bambinos. Here's a Bambino grid then. It's Toby Cannon with Theo Jepson alongside, and then Elsie Gannon and Calman Simon. They're off and running. In the earlier heats, Toby Cannon took a comfortable victory. Looks like we've got Theo down the outside, and Theo Jepson has taken the lead. So Theo Jepson grabs himself the lead. That wasn't in the script for Toby Cannon earlier. Took 2 comfortable victories. So he's looking up the inside to get the lead back. He's having a look. Not quite sure, hasn't gone for it. Oh, loses his back end. Oh, manages to hold on to it, but Elsie Gannon has spun out, trying to avoid him, I think. As Toby lost his back end, I think Elsie didn't want to run into the back of him, and I think as she's taken avoiding action, unfortunately, it's meant that she spun out in the earlier Heat 1 when she had the lead. I will say, these kids are fairly young. They're from 5 years of age. I'm not sure exactly how old each of these children are, but anything from sort of 5 to 8 in this class. But Elsie's shown enough this weekend. Hopefully she'll take the positives out of it. She had a really good start in that Heat 1 before spinning out, coming out of the double apex. And, you know, she had a pretty good start in this one as well. So you've got to take the positives moving forward. Now, Theo Jepson has the lead, but Toby Cannon, we know he's got a lot of quality. He cleared off in the earlier 2 heats, so he's lost the lead at the start, but he's just got to keep his head here. Doesn't want to do anything silly, and I'm sure that he will think, yeah, I know I've got the pace, so I've just got to bide my time and get by at the earliest opportunity. Once he gets the lead, that's assuming he does get the lead, of course. If he does, we assume that he will do what he did in the earlier heats and clear off as they go through the line one more time. But it's still Theo Jepson that leads it. We're still trying to get Jack Oliphant, the commentator, live stream commentator, back for you, and we'll surely get him back shortly. Here comes Toby Cannon for the lead. Does he? No. He's window shopping, but he's not at the sales buying anything right now. He's just having a look and seeing where Theo is strong, and Theo is spending a lot of time looking behind him. You don't want to do that, Theo. Just keep looking forward. If they've got the pace to come past, they'll come past. It's as simple as that. Whether you look behind or not is not going to make a lot of difference, especially at this time in the race when you're not really defending as such at this moment. We're just on the one camera position currently because we're trying to work on getting Jack's microphone up and running, but hopefully it won't upset your viewing pleasure. This is the Bambino final here at Hooton Park in Cheshire for the INDIKART Plus Championship, the first round of INDIKART Plus. It means that if you're licensed or an unlicensed driver, you can race at the same meeting, providing if you are an unlicensed driver, you've shown the circuit owner that you have some skills and he may put you through a bit of a test. So that's what the difference is between INDIKART Clubman and INDIKART Plus. Coming up to the Wilson S's one more time. It's still Jepson that has the lead. Through the Stanlow bend, the final bend on the circuit, and as they go down through the line, I thought he was going to go alongside there, but no such luck. It looks like, Eureka, we've got Jack Oliphant back. Jack.
Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. You can now hear me. I do apologise. I don't know why that quite dropped out, and I don't know when it dropped out either. But, well, I was just saying, through the course of that race, well done to Theo Jepson, who's still leading this one in the Bambino category. Toby Cannon, for the first time, really being tested to try and actually get past. And normally he's leading away with the fairies sort of thing, but no, Theo Jepson really keeping him honest. And as I was saying just before, I realised that we're not live. Well, I wasn't live. That's the fact that if I had one tip for Theo Jepson, it would be to not look over his shoulder quite so much. You only want to look over your shoulder 2 or 3 times a lap, just to make sure the driver is still there. When you're going into your braking zones, you want to be looking forward. You want to be looking at the apex as you hit the brakes. If you can, look at the exit if you're that good. But that is really sort of high-level driving sort of stuff. Here goes Toby Cannon up the inside, and Theo Jepson has to try and go for the cutback. Try and go aggressive this time round. He's not going to make it. Stick though around the outside. There's going to be a tight squeeze. There is rubbing and squeezing him onto the outside of the circuit there with Theo Jepson. There was just enough room, and really good racing from the two of them. Some would say maybe they was a little bit lucky that they left enough room. I would say it was just good spatial awareness from the young drivers. Keep in mind that these guys are only between the ages of about 5 and 8 years old, so it's very impressive, the car control and the spatial awareness that they're proving here. Theo Jepson up the inside, not doing it quite yet. I will just finish my little tip on the not looking behind you. The reason why you don't want to look behind you is because when you're going into braking zones, if you're looking backwards, you don't know where your braking zone is, and all of a sudden you look forward and your brain just can't compute everything that's going that quickly. So you just miss your braking zone, you don't hit it as hard, you lack concentration, you miss your apex, and you're screwed, basically. You don't want to be doing anything like that. You just want to be focusing on what you're doing. And if you're in the lead of the race, it's not because you're slow. You need to just keep your confidence up, hit your braking zones, hit your apexes, and try and go for qualifying laps. Don't worry about the drivers behind you. But it is a really hard thing to do. It's something that you learn. It takes a long time to learn, it has to be said. So, just starting lap 7 out of the 10 here. Theo Jepson's not letting Toby Cannon get away from him too quickly. And it's really good racing from Theo Jepson. I believe we've got Alan back in the studio now. I don't think you're good. He's not tuning in. Yeah, not for long. He's about to go back out and potentially do some more filming and everything like that. But, yeah, I was just about to say he's been out there. Oh my days, there's a back marker problem here for Toby Cannon. This could be big news. I'll explain what Alan's been doing earlier on as the back marker tries. Oh, he's going to the middle of the circuit now. I don't think he's quite sure where to go, as Toby Cannon wasn't quite sure where to go either, and neither was Theo Jepson. And really, that's put a little bit of an end to the battle, as Theo Jepson almost squeezes him a little too much there. He didn't need to move across that much. And these are all the things that, as I said, these drivers will be learning through the course of this weekend. There's so much. It's quite unbelievable, really. I know that young kids are basically a sponge of information, and they take on things and sort of adapt to it. But as an adult, you don't really have, unless you've been karting, unless you try karting now for the first time and you learn it alongside the young drivers, you don't really get an appreciation with just how much stimulus is being thrown at you when you're out there on the circuit. To think about the other drivers, to think about putting the kart on the ragged edge, to go into the braking zones, locking up, doing the right technique, being smooth and all that sort of thing. It really is an absolute nightmare to try and pick up, which is why it's always so impressive for these young drivers. Toby Cannon, though, he's not going as quickly as we expected, and here comes Theo Jepson up the inside, and that could be crucial because we are on the last lap of the race, and Theo Jepson has just retaken the lead. And after what has been an absolutely commanding day for Toby Cannon, it could all go tumbling away from him. In fact, no, it's not the last lap of the race. My apologies. It's Bambino's at 12 laps, not 10 laps in the final. I do apologise. I've just made our production team rather panic for a second there. I do apologise. Theo Jepson misses the apex, runs onto the rumble strip, allows Toby Cannon to potentially have a look, but I think Toby actually came off the throttle a little bit there to allow Theo back through. Probably smart, actually. Is not wide enough for 2 karts, even 2 Bambinos to go through that. S's, they're looking at each other's car as they try and squeeze each other. And is there going to be a dive up the inside? There's not much of a braking zone into turn 1, to be honest, for these Bambinos, because they're not going as quickly as some of the other karts, so they don't need to brake just quite as hard as some of the others. It's all about momentum, these things. with only 3.5 horsepower, you can't quite get away with just booting it out the exit of a corner. You have to keep the minimum speed up, and it really does teach you how to drive in any form of motorsport. It's quite sensational stuff, really. Whereas, say, not Formula 1 as such, but say in touring cars and really high-end, powerful pieces of kit, you can sort of get away with sort of having a bad entry, a bad mid-corner, because you just get a boot full of power, and that, you basically get down the straight without having to worry too much. But in these cars, there is no getting away from it. If you scrub some mid-corner speed, you are screwed.
Wow, this is a great race, by the way. Just rejoining you just for a second. Oh, contact! Oh, that is the race leaders. Now, where's the man in third place?
Elsie Gannon is about to go through.
Oh, the 17. It's Toby Cannon that's off. It's Theo Jepson that's carried on. And Theo Jepson, somebody call the FBI, because he's just stolen himself the winner's trophy in the final. And here comes Elsie Gannon. That's Toby Cannon, who was the earlier leader in the winner in the heats. What a finish to this race. Absolute drama. And look at this. Is Theo Jepson going to hold on? That's the question, Jack.
Well, Theo Jepson, he did lead for a large majority of this race. No one could argue if he came away with the win. After that, he is going to come away with the win now. It's down to a steward's inquiry. There is a preliminary result that sees Theo Jepson take the top step of the podium and Elsie Gannon come home with a very close second place. Toby Cannon, at the moment, is still registered as third, but I think Calman Simon will get his first podium of the season here in the final, as it happens as well. And he's not happy, is he, is Toby Cannon. Now, that is another lesson to be learned. So I'm sure he won't want to be told that, as a mechanic is... No, in fact, that's Stephen Duke, the clerk, who's having to be stood there and potentially calm him down just a touch. Yeah, it's not a happy camper, unfortunately, Toby Cannon. You can sort of understand why. He's given the thumbs down signal there. Now, you can understand why he's not very pleased, but there is a lot of lessons to be learnt in motorsport, and unfortunately, that's probably the most common one. It's not always sunshine and rainbows in motorsport. There's a lot to have to deal with. You do grow up fast if you enter into this sport. But that was the Bambinos. As I said, that is the preliminary result, with Theo Jepson on taking the victory. Elsie Gannon in second place, Toby Cannon in third, and Calman Simon is in fourth. I believe that's how it stands at the moment, because Calman Simon had already been lapped by Toby Cannon, so I'm not entirely sure how that one works out. But we'll have to wait and see what the actual full results are from the clerk of the course, as a few of the drivers start to go out and get collected. Wow, drama in the Bambinos, and one of the classes that really haven't offered us much drama. Actually, it was probably one of the best finals that we've had so far, and there's only 4 drivers. It just goes to show you don't need a full grid. Coming up next, after a couple of minutes' time, once Toby Cannon gets recovered, I can actually see out of my commentary window his mechanic. I'm guessing his dad is trying to chase him down to give him a big hug. Toby really didn't want to give him a big hug, because obviously he's a bit upset, but the mum or the dad, I can't quite see who it is from squinting through the window, trying to give him a big hug and make sure that they know everything's okay. To console a very upset 6-year-old is always a bit difficult. I think it's a very important part of motorsport, though. As I said, it's probably one of the most common lessons to be learnt, unfortunately. You can do everything right and still not go your way. But he'll be back. He's a very quick driver. We've enjoyed watching Toby over the course of today. He'll just have to take that one on the chin, and I'm sure he'll come back even stronger. So, as I said, the next race will be the Micromax, and the Honda final. We are on the penultimate race of the day. I will give you the grid rundown once I've had another sip of my drink.
While you're doing that, Jack, just to point out, Theo Jepson was leading, and it was Toby that just got it all wrong going into the gate, turn 2. So Theo Jepson, a worthy winner. Nothing to investigate as far as the stewards are concerned.
Right then, it's time to explain the Micromax / the Hondas. Micromax and the Hondas, they are not the same class. They are split grid. In fact, there you go. You can see Toby walking across the grid there, trying to keep up with his mum, I think. The Micro Maxes were treated as a separate grid, but unfortunately not many drivers actually turned up today in the way of the IndyKart. So you sort of enter on the day, so it really depends on who turns up on the day. Hondas had the similar experience. They were treated as a separate class completely, and they actually only had 3 drivers turn up as well, so they decided to amalgamate the grids, which was the best decision by far. A bit of a shame we couldn't do it with a few of the others, with the with the minis, Mini-Maxes and the Bambinos, but the pace disparity and the experience disparity would have been far too great, so that's not really on the money. So as the Micro Maxes, can the Hondas come out? I can tell you that the Micro Maxes has Archie Smith on pole position. The first driver to be on pole was actually without perfect points. Bray Williams, the number 29, is in second place, and those two have been absolutely brilliant to watch, to be honest. Row 2 and third place, and last on the Micro Maxes is the 21 Austin Gresty. In the Hondas, number 13, Red Lind, has pretty much had perfect points in terms of the Hondas. Tom Nichols, the 74, is alongside, and then 68, Riley Blakemore, is in third. The way to tell the difference between the Micro Maxes and the Hondas, one, the Micro Maxes should be a little bit quicker, but Red Lind is challenging that assumption. And 2, the Micro Maxes have a yellow background number with a black number, and the Hondas are yellow with red. And I believe we are racing. I thought they were going to send them around once more, but actually no, they're not. And it's a good start there by, I think, Archie Smith, who holds on to that lead of the race for the time being, to that pole position. And we know that Bray Williamson is going to be hot on the heels from the start. Last couple of races between those two have been absolutely sensational. And there we go, Archie Smith going a little bit wide, potentially out of turn 3. Bray Williamson looking to get that cutback, but it wasn't to be for the time being. There's Red Lind. You just know he's going to be around it, trying to sniff out an opportunity to upset some of the higher-powered karts. Both of these series are aimed towards a sort of 10 to 14-year-olds. Or the 8 to 12-year-olds, I should say. Actually, 7 to 12-year-olds, depending on which class you're talking about. So not the most experienced, but not the most inexperienced either that we've got out there on circuit. Red Lind certainly showing that not the slowest, that's for damn sure. Archie Smith, I don't think I've seen Archie Smith actually take the optimal racing line through turn 3 or turn 1 more than twice the entire day. That is how much pressure that Bray Williamson is actually putting under almost through Heat 1, through Heat 2, and really early on, actually, we saw Bray Williamson in Heat 2 really throw it up the inside, throwing the gauntlet down, wanting to prove that wasn't going to be pushed over for the first couple of laps. I think maybe had a little bit of a talking to. There's that defensive line by Archie Smith. Maybe Bray Williamson had a little bit of a talking through about Heat 1 because they kept talking about working together. They kept trying to tap their helmets to Archie Smith, saying, let's go forward together. But actually, there was no reason because Red Lind is not important to them. And that's the driver that's behind them. They're in a class of their own at the moment, it seems, the top two. So there's no need to work together. You might as well battle it out for the remainder. And they have fought for long enough to know exactly where each of them are slightly quicker, where each of them are slightly slower through certain parts of the circuit. And in fact, there you can see they even take different lines through the final corner, with Archie Smith taking a wider entry, narrower exit, whereas Bray Williamson tried to just hug the apex all the way around the corner. It's similar in a lot of ways to Luffield at Silverstone, where you can take multiple lines depending. That one sort of depends on the power of the car. That people talk about the different lines, but it seems here in the kart. People it's personal preference whether you like to be an aggressive, early to the apex kind of driver in the race, or whether you like to try and take that qualifying line where you sort of take a wider entry, carry a bit more speed, and then straight line the second apex. Now these drivers do have 14 laps for their final. It's only the Bambinos that had 12. These guys are going slightly faster. Not loads faster, to be fair, but slightly faster. Archie Smith finding that line through turn 1. It's a bit narrow, but equally the exit's not hurt so much because there's not enough track to go into turn 2 for a move, but there is enough track into turn 3, and Archie Smith opened the door and Bray Williamson said thank you very much, and look at that, the tap of the head. Not entirely sure what that's for. You see a lot of drivers do it. It's about working together, but it's only ever shown by the driver in the lead And the driver behind just goes, well, no, I want to be in the lead, so I'm going to try and take that position back. Thank you very much. It's quite entertaining to watch, to be honest. It's constant. In the Hooton Park Kart Club, you see it all day long. It always makes me giggle. The rest of the field, Red Lind is leading the Honda 200 category. Austin Gresti is third in the Micro Max, fourth overall. Tom Nichols, fifth overall, second in the Honda, as they have been all day. And Riley Blakemore, sixth overall, and third in a Honda, again, as they have been all day. So what can Archie Smith pull out from under his sleeve here? What kind of lap times has he got to try and take the fight back to Bray Williamson? I think my live timing has frozen, unfortunately, so I can't tell you the lap times as I go to look at it. Just give it a quick refresh. If you're wondering on the live timing, by the way, you can tune into the live timing and get exactly the same information that I'm getting by going to live.alphatiming.co.uk/HootonIK. If you just go to live.alphalivetiming.co.uk, then you'll be able to find it. And unfortunately, my laptop has decided that it doesn't want to be connected to the internet anymore, which, you know, is always really helpful. Anyway, I can see what's in front of me, so let's just commentate on that, shall we? Archie Smith has pulled up really close to Bray Williamson this time round, and with a couple of laps to go, we'll be able to see what they have in the locker for us. Still trying to get my live timing to work, ladies and gentlemen, so I do apologise, but you can sort of see what's going on in front of you. Bray Williamson just probably pulling out about a tenth or two on this particular lap from Archie Smith, who maybe is just starting to, you know, calm down, think about the next course of action. I always talk about it whenever I commentate on esports or anything like that. It's so easy to get too tense in the kart or in the car or even in the sim, and you start over-driving, you start overthinking it. You're too keen to try and go forward, as I finally get my internet back, which is always delightful. But it's important you always drive your best when you're sort of relaxing your shoulder, and that is not what you want to do, Bray Williamson. You do not want to be looking over your shoulder as you're going into a corner, around the corner, or out the corner. If you're anywhere near a corner, don't look over your shoulder. That is a lesson for any driver, anywhere. You just never want to do it. Because you will end up making a small mistake. It doesn't matter whether you're looking for the driver who's going up the inside. If they're going up the inside, you'll be able to tell it through your peripheral vision. You'll be able to hear it. You don't need to look over your shoulder for it. Look over your shoulder as you're about halfway down the straight to see what they're thinking about. And apart from that, just make sure you're hitting your own apexes. Let's see if Bray has learnt the lesson slightly. Yeah, nicely done there. Really tidy through the double apex. On the final couple of laps, Archie Smith was about 0.2 of a second quicker than Bray Williamson. Unfortunately for Austin Gresti, I don't think is currently out there, actually. Yeah, 4 laps down, so either is on the outside of the circuit somewhere or is in the pit lane. I think they had to retire from the race earlier on as well in Heat 2, so maybe there's a mechanical problem that's struck again. That's a bit of a shame for Austin Gresti. It's really not what you want to do. You turn up, you want to race, and sometimes things can go out your control, can't they? And I'm sure they'll be back next time with a couple of components, a couple of new ideas. And in fact, I just saw a kart in the middle of the circuit. Maybe that's where Austin Gresti has parked up. I can actually I can hear a few of the spectators outside my commentary box saying, "You got to go for this. You got to, you all the pace, all the time. You've got to be decisive. You've got to be assertive." Absolutely right. That's part of racecraft. There's only 1 lap to go. No, there's 2 laps to go. My apologies. 2 laps to go. I'm jumping the gun. I'm thinking the heat is it's the heat amount of laps and not the final amount of laps. I'm making our production panic. In fact, it is Austin Gresti who's on the inside of the circuit there, so that is really unfortunate. Really odd place to be finishing up, as it looks like, oh, there's a little opportunity at the inside there. Archie Smith trying to crowbar an opportunity, but I think just sent a little bit too much speed in through the corner. And again, that's a bit of learning. That's a bit of racecraft. Maybe the move isn't on there. You don't want to be sending the speed into that one. You want to be sending the speed into turn 1 and into turn 3. There are some corners that you think, you know what, that would be amazing if it did work, but they're a 30% chance. You want to be going into corners that have about a 70% chance of making the overtake stick. And the last corner, you don't want to be overtaking going into it, but you want to be damn fast coming out of it. It's probably arguably the most important corner on this circuit, because you're flat out from pretty much here on out. As you hit the second apex, you're flat out into that first corner, which is an overtaking opportunity. It's a heavy braking zone, and of course, it's the last lap of the race now as well. And Archie Smith, it's now or never for them as they're going through towards turn 3, as we've lost a few of the camera angles. Unfortunately, there we go. We've got them back. Archie Smith looking at the inside of Bray Williamson. What's the pressure like for Bray Williamson now? These guys have both got into the final equal on points. They've been equal on lap times, and they've been pretty much equal on excitement as well that they brought us on our screens for the TDI Media IndyKart Plus Micro Max Championship here at Hooton Park. It's been brilliant to watch the both of them. Archie Smith trying to look at the inside, but I think it's going to be Bray Williamson who's going to take the checkered flag. Bray Williamson is going to take the first place here at the IndyKart Plus Micro Max Championship here at Hooton Park, and I can hear cheers outside of the commentary box as well from a few spectators getting involved. Red Lind took the Honda 200, probably no real surprises in that one, given the way the day has gone, with Tom Nichols and Riley Blakemore coming 2nd and 3rd in that particular class, 4th and 5th overall. And then Austin Gresty, unfortunately, the only driver to have DNF'd in that particular race, and I think DNF'd in race 2 as well, so maybe a mechanical gremlin, because it is a really strange area of the circuit to have that car end up on, unless they really got it wrong going into the S's, which I don't think they did. That was the penultimate race of the day, would you believe? These have absolutely flown by, to be honest. It's a very quick day here at Hooton Park. Well, I suppose it's probably something to do with the fact that we started after lunch. Well, after the 12 o'clock anyway. One more race to go, and it is the Minimax final. And I'll bring you the grid once I've had my customary slurp of water and Lucozade, and of course, other sugary energy drinks are available from Hooton Park. And as this is the final race of the day, I can see our head grid marshals just come into the office, and Andrew Wallace doing a sterling job here. I'll give him a bit of a shout out. And we are racing actually here at the Minimax final race of the day, and an early lead has been taken by Wojciech from second position on the grid. Zach Kane looking at the inside of our pole sitter. Jackson Lane. Jackson Lane trying to warm those tyres at the front end of the tyres. He did look like he had an enormous amount of understeer as they go through the first 2 corners, and but no problems at all for Wojciech, who leads this race. And you fear that unless Jackson Lane can start picking up the pace like he did in race number 1, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So Jackson Lane then, a bit of a problem for him, unfortunately, and he's going to have to do an awful lot of work. But Wojciech, after that heat 2, might get himself into gear a little bit here. The Minimaxes, the age range between 11 and 14 years old. So realistically, they look really old when you compare them to the Bambinos and the Micromaxes and the Hondas that we've just seen. But actually, these guys are still pre-teens, basically. And they're absolutely hustling these carts around like nothing else. Very impressive. These guys are on the Comet tyres, the K2Hs, for the slicks, which is, of course, what they're out there at the moment. Because there's no indication that there's going to be any kind of rain today, which is why we enjoy it so much, to be honest. Wet racing is entertaining, but sometimes there's something just quite, everybody, you know what you're going to get when it's dry racing, and that's always quite nice to do as well. If you have enjoyed the IndyKart Plus Championship here at Hooton Park, you've enjoyed the coverage. We do apologise slightly for the fact that there was a little bit of internet issues earlier in the day. It's nothing in our control. It's just sometimes the internet can throw a little bit of a hissy fit. It seems to have sorted itself out for the majority of the finals, which is obviously very pleasing. Then, please do subscribe, like, follow along, do whatever you want to do to make sure you don't miss any more of the action here at Hooton Park or the Minimaxes. Sorry, the IndyCars. Sorry, someone was just handing me something through a window, which put me off slightly there. Hopefully we'll see more of you through the season as well. As I said, we are back on the 12th of March in exactly 1 month's time. Back at Hooton Park for more action here on TDI Media. By all means, if you want to keep up to date with what TDI have got going on. Of course, there's the TV show. There's the Sporty Stuff TV show that we've got coming on the Highlights channel that we've got coming your way, which will probably feature all, we're not entirely sure, this is provisional, but it's what I would recommend, even though I'm not part of it at all. It would be the junior maxes, it'd be the senior maxes and senior 177s, and nearly maybe all 3 of their races each, and a summary of the likes of the mini maxes as well. If you want to catch all that action, then by all means, I'm sure it'll probably be on Sporty Stuff TV. It may well appear on the TDI Media YouTube page eventually as well. So please do follow along to all that sort of thing to catch all that action. Wojciech is well and away with this lead. It's 3.1 seconds ahead of Jackson Lane, and unlike the first race, Wojciech has actually turned the wick up slightly. He's doing 39.1s. Jackson Lane can't quite get into the 38s, which is the sort of key thing that he was doing in race number 2 that sort of brought him back into the mix. He's only able to do 39.2s at the moment, but then again, he was only able to achieve those sort of lap times towards the end of the race. They are lapping an extremely consistent and extremely close. I mean, Wojciech just set the fastest lap of the race with the 39.125, only 300ths of a second faster than Jackson Lane just achieved in second place. So, yeah, very, very quick, both very evenly matched. I mean, if I forget, before we finish the stream, a big thank you to TDI Media for having me along. Big thank you to Hooton Park for hosting us as well, and joining in with TDI Media to make this occasion what it is, and hopefully a brilliant season along with it as well. And thank you at home as well for joining along. Hopefully you've enjoyed the stream. We've even had people from Cape Town, would you believe? And I think I saw, we've seen comments from Australia. There was one from Ohio, which I couldn't quite believe. You never know. This is the thing with sort of broadcasting, even club level racing like this. You do get people tuning in from all over the world, and it's fantastic exposure, not only for the racers. You never know. These racers might step up and do some national racing. They might end up doing some high level kart racing. You might see them in single seaters one day. So it's always a pleasure to be your host. My name has been Jack Oliphant. Hopefully I'll be with you for the majority of the season. I believe there's only one date at the moment that I can't quite make with a potentially other commitment, but we'll be able to get you another commentator in, which I'm sure will do exactly the same, if not a probably higher standard job, but hopefully not, because I'd like to come back. That is lap 9 completed by Wojciech. The gap is slightly coming down, actually. Jackson Lane, and his usual sort of mid-race burst, has actually just found himself about 3/10 out of nowhere. A 38.75. I mean, Wojciech is not going slowly. It's a 39 dead for him. It's a personal best for Wojciech on that last lap. But Jackson Lane, at a 38.7, is absolutely smashing out the park here. Yet again, on this lap coming up, if he can set another one like that, all of a sudden, Wojciech might not be feeling the pressure, because he might not be able to tell that far back that he's gaining by 0.3 of a second. But towards the end of the race, and in fact, there we go, 38.8. But Wojciech actually a 38.9. So there was a 10th difference, but it was only a 10th, and the gap is still at 2.6. Going through the double apex then is Wojciech. Sun setting in the background here at Hooton Park. If you wanted to get involved, if you've enjoyed what you're seeing here at the INDIKART Plus, if you want to get involved at the actual event, not just on the stream or anything like that, then by all means, INDIKART, you just turn up. Get in touch with a few people, ask a few questions if you need to. You can join the Facebook group, in fact. Oh, big smack of the curb by Wojciech, maybe a little bit tired there. Yeah, you can always join the Facebook group. It's very active. People exchanging information, selling bits and bobs, asking questions about the media, all that sort of thing. It's a very active group, very friendly group by the looks of it. By all means, join that, and someone will be around to potentially show you the way. They always have Saturday practicing. Whenever I've read out the dates, it's only the Sunday. That's the race day. But they always have Saturday practice as well. And if you ever want to practice around Hooton Park, you can pretty much get in touch and turn up most days. Wow, what a lap by Jackson Lane. 38.5, the fastest lap we've had all weekend by Jackson Lane. Currently in second place. He really does turn it on in the second half of the race, but I think it's too little too late after that understeer through turn 1 on lap 1. And with only 2 laps to go, yes, he just took out half a second of Wojciech. But that was really a one-off lap, and he's still got 2 seconds to find. Wojciech, all he needs to do is keep it clean, keep it tidy, and keep it consistent within a tenth or 2 of a second. The last lap board is held out here. Jackson Lane is trying to do everything he can, and he's just set another fastest lap, a 38.424. Too little, too late, but I tell you what, if he can keep that momentum up into the next session, well, sorry, not the next session, into the next meeting, he will be a force to be reckoned with. It's just those race starts he needs to get sorted out. Wojciech, absolutely rapid himself though, a 38.7 on that last lap, maybe deciding that he needs to up the ante a little bit as well, otherwise he could be in a little bit of trouble. But as they go through the S's for the final time, they will do it for the final bit of action here at Hooton Park for the INDIKART Plus. The Mini-Maxes will round out the day. The checkered flag waves in the direction of Wojciech, with Jackson Lane coming home in second place and setting the fastest lap of the race. No, he didn't actually do it that time round. It was the penultimate lap he managed to set the fastest lap. Zach Kane will come across the line in third. Hopefully he does come across the line. He is still out there rotating on the circuit. I think he's just about to go through the double apex. But I'm going to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you yet again to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you to TDI Media for having me along, your commentator Jack Oliphant, and of course Hooton Park for hosting a brilliant event. The racers...